was a video. It was a wrestling video where a guy named Maven was giving an interview, and he said, you remember Tori Wilson? She was a beautiful lady. Okay, she was in the WWE. And Vince McMahon had put Maven and Tori Wilson in a kissing scene. And her husband, real life husband, Billy Kidman, was behind the camera.
Right.
And Maven said, every fucking time we kissed, the minute we pull away, Billy Kidman will pop you on the camera and say, "How's my dick taste?" just brutal. The WWE was so much fun back in the day.
Everything was.
Guys, I'm bringing the party to you.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
You big dummy. Oh, great Odin's raven. Say hello to my little friend.
I stepped in a ditch last night, man. I almost closed my balls off, man.
You take drugs, Danny?
Every day.
Good. What's the problem?
Yeah, David.
Giggity, 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 giggity. Oh, we know what you fear well without.
I'm the doctor.
What's up, guys?
This aggression will not stand, man.
Engage.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Pulp Culture Cafe, Season 12, Episode 322. Come on in, take yourself a seat in the corner booth, and let's get our geek on. It is the end of the year. This show will probably will shop on January 1st. And unlike most shows at the end, we're not doing nothing special. It's too much work. I don't think any of us really want to put in a lot of work to do this. So the only thing we're going to have special is our top 5 shows that we want to reboot ourselves. And I wrote down yours, Paul, in case you couldn't find it again. So it should be on your Blue Sky.
It'll be on the message, won't it?
Yeah.
Did you get the one that I sent you afterwards?
Oh, what?
Am I allowed to bring that one up, or did I miss the window?
No, you can bring it up. Doesn't matter now. You got the top 5 that you had. You know,
Black I got it in front of me.
Yeah. You sent the one for the Hobie guys, or we did the one for the Hobie guys, which we had to roll a dice for because everybody picked different shows.
Yeah, that list was a lot of fun.
But
I was kind of disappointed that Automan wasn't on that list.
Oh,
I picked that over Manimal.
Well, Manimal won, so you won in a way because that's the one you picked.
Oh, well,
right?
Yeah, it got a mention.
Yeah.
I would probably realistically, I would probably have gone for Jim Carter because I think there's some mileage in that these days.
Yeah.
I think you could make a decent Jim Carter show.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the fight choreography is kind of it's very artistic in the way that it's choreographed anyway. Manimal definitely got an honourable mention. I was very surprised
like I
to
said,
see
we
that.
rolled the dice and that's come up.
That.
So
yeah, fair enough.
Right, we only had the 5, and then if it come up 6 okay, nobody wins. Fuck it. So.
Yeah, that's it. Podcast's over.
Yeah.
Roll the 6. Everyone go home.
We'll start the show like we do every time with stuff we have watched the last little bit. I've tried to make some notes this time, so when I do talk about the stuff, that I can bring up some questions that Scott always asks me, and then I go, huh? What the fuck? What the fuck? So, hey, I'm John. Sorry, folks. I'm joined with Paul, our overseas correspondent, who, at the time we recorded the last show, was guarding the dead body of the Queen, and so he's back. I mean, he's waiting for the zombie Queen.
I've got to stop the zombie Queen from escaping and spreading the plague around the UK.
Yeah.
And also, you'll be surprised what people would like to do to a dead Queen.
Maybe not. We're just talking about some stuff that, people will do for attention.
Yeah.
And then also Scott, Mr. Tit McGee up in
with
the
a Z.
corner.
Yep, with a Z.
With a Z. So, anyways, who wants to start with what they watched the last little bit? Did you just want to jump around back and forth instead of just one doing a list each?
I wondered about that. Are we going to be recording 2 episodes? Do you want to do all the year-end stuff for one episode?
You know what? We're gonna
and then do what we've been watching for the episode after.
Yeah. I haven't really given it any thought. I just thought the year-end show, we just dropped the whole thing.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
And let people ears bleed.
Yeah.
So, hey, I'm not really worried. I mean, Scott Keith points it out to me that there's other places that listen. But if I look at Libsyn, we get 1 or 2 people. So, those 1 or 2 can handle it, I think. But anyways.
Excellent.
So we'll just do a full, big, long episode. And then in the new year, we'll go back to splitting it up. I'll make sure I send notes for you guys. So,
no worries. Yeah. Big old Christmas blowout.
Yeah. Or New Year's blowout.
Yeah. Blow a massive load at the end of it.
I have a... Okay. I was just about to segue into something, but I can't segue out that. So, you were talking about numbers, and John, I think you and I talked about this briefly. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were saying that, in the last 2 years, so many mainstream folks from Hollywood have gotten into the podcast business that I think there's something like still 2 million people doing podcasts, but the top 1,500 podcasts get like a lion's share, like 95% of the downloads. So the people who were able to build audiences over, like from that 2014 or 2012 or whenever they started, have seen their audiences dwindle if they're not an actor or a singer or something like that, just because
even a porn
lot
star.
Of folks, yeah, exactly. A lot of the folks that have gotten into the game when they said, "Oh, we can make money off this now," have taken away those audiences from folks that are like us that are just sitting there talking about pop culture or some other subject. So it's a shame, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Another pissing on the poor man. That's it. Oh, I could put that as a title too. I've got Massive Load, pissing on the show.
Nice.
But I kind of like Massive Load. That's the leader right now.
Nice.
So, okay.
I'm leaning towards Massive Load.
Okay.
We heard, Paul. We heard.
Yeah. All right. So I'll start with
if you're leaning, it's a really massive load.
Yeah. I'm going to start with some of the stuff I'll start with the one that I told Paul I would watch. And Scott, maybe, I don't know, but Peguin. You guys have watched the Peguin? And I only watched 1 episode, and I go, it's just another gangster movie. And because I honestly, halfway through, I'm watching my phone because it's like, I know all this. It's just okay. It's the Peguin and blah blah blah. I'm setting up my own gang and blah blah blah. I've seen this before. It's just the Peguin and this crazy friend or whatever she is.
Good actress though. I've seen.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not. There's no bad acting and stuff, but it's just I've seen this a dozen times before in different ways. It just doesn't. There's nothing that grabs me. Like after I was gonna watch 2, and I just said that's enough. So. I'm not putting it down for any of the accolades it's made for other people liking it. For me, it's just another gangster film. So,
I mean that's fair enough because there's so much choice these days that you've got to just pick a lane, haven't you?
Yeah,
you just got to say that's what I'm watching.
Yeah,
you can't watch everything.
No,
something's got to go, and if it doesn't grab you, it didn't grab you.
Yeah, no, it's. Have you guys watched it?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
You look really excited when I talked about it. You're like, oh boy, and then I started to talk. Oh fuck, okay.
Yeah. What a prick.
There's title 3.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I mean, you're right. It didn't really break any new ground. It wasn't innovating. It wasn't doing anything particularly different. But I think what it was doing very, very well. And I respond quite well to something that's done well. Something that looks good. The actors are good. Sets, costumes, the way that it's shot, all that sort of thing. If it's a good quality TV program, then I appreciate it and I enjoy watching it. And the story almost becomes secondary if the quality is that good. To a degree, because there's always exceptions to the rule, like Rings of Power. I mean, everything about that show is absolute top shelf, except the story, which is as dull as fuck.
It's the tastiest poison I've ever drank.
Yeah, but it's like my new scale of quality wasn't shit enough to stop watching. So. And we can talk about some other things a little later on in the show that aren't shit enough to stop watching, which, could be better.
Sue and I I've got it on the list. We're going to watch it over the break, actually, because she's never seen the new Batman. So we're going to watch Batman, and then we're going to lead into the Penguin. Colin Farrell, I'm actually rooting for the guy because he's a great actor. And he had a run in the 90s. And then he did that second season of True Detective, and he's just been a whipping boy ever since. He couldn't get out of bed without banging his fucking dick against something, and he was having a hell of a time. So when he got this part, and people were praising him, and the makeup and everything, I was happy for him on that. In that vein, actually, this is a bit of news, but it's definitely related to the show. The second part to Batman has been delayed until October 1st, 2027. That's 5 years after the original film. That film wasn't that strong and iconic to wait 5 years. That's a long time between movies of that caliber. So I don't know whether they have other miniseries planned or not. I hope so. But basically, James Gunn said that Matt Reeves wasn't done the script yet, and he made it out to sound very, you can't rush an artist, but sometimes you gotta rush an artist. 5 years is too long for that movie to wait because it's gonna get forgotten.
Of course.
What movie is that we're talking about?
The second Batman movie.
See,
yeah, exactly.
I've already forgotten.
Yeah. And he's not that strong of a Batman. He's probably the third or fourth best Batman. So it's not like it's an iconic performance that people are clamoring to get back to.
No. I don't think I've watched that movie again. Okay, so we'll start with Paul. What's one show that you've watched? Because I can go down my list if you want, and we do each of us.
No, is this just like the latest TV that we've been watching, or is this our top 5 list?
No, this is not the top 5.
Right, this is just a normal list.
Yeah, if you have a top 5 of stuff that you really liked, save that towards the end. We'll do a bunch of them.
Well,
this is just stuff that we've watched. Even if you watched something, and you want to talk about it now, but still want to bring it up more in depth in your top 5, that's cool. Okay?
Yeah. No, there's very little crossover. Very little crossover. No, I'll stick with the list of things I've been watching recently.
Okay.
So the first one, Doctor Who Christmas Special. Did anybody else watch the Doctor Who Christmas Special?
I
did not.
I was going to bring it up in this general conversation because I am so scared I'm going to watch something and I'm going to get a message about something that I don't want a message about. So I didn't watch it.
Right. Okay. Well, it's Doctor Who in the 21st century, so you're definitely going to get a message. I'll spoil it somewhat. I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah,
because if you spoil it and I can live with it, I'll watch it. But I just don't want to know about. I don't have a penis, but I'm a girl or a boy, whatever the fucking shit.
No, what they were preaching about this time around was COVID. One of the characters had an issue about a mother dying alone at Christmas during the COVID pandemic. And I was watching it with my wife, and she sort of like just paused it and said, "Wow," just says, "This suddenly got really political." Because I think it was framed as a criticism. I think Stephen Moffat wrote this one, so he must have known someone or a family member, friend, someone like that, someone who wasn't allowed to visit a dying loved one during COVID, something like that. But that's kind of it. That was the most egregious thing. I think the ending's kind of really okay. All right, fair enough. I'll let you have that. It's not the most important part of the show, but the story itself, I actually quite liked. I actually quite enjoyed it. It's definitely not the worst Doctor Who episode that I have seen recently. It was actually okay, and not just it wasn't shit enough for me to stop watching. Okay, I mean, it was actually okay. The story that it's actually reminded me of. Again, this is probably leading into spoiler territory, so I'm going to be very vague. It reminded me almost of part of a Peter Capaldi storyline, where there's something has to occur in real time rather than just time traveling to get to a point. You had to wait. So he had to wait to get to a certain point in time before something triggered or happened, and so on. And and it's a Christmas episode. It's about the journey. It's about the story and the lessons that you learn and that sort of shit. And it was all right. I wouldn't say don't watch it because it was shit. I'd say yes, watch it. Yeah, it gets a little bit preachy at one point, and the ending makes you roll your eyes a little bit. And I just thank God that the woman that was introduced as sort of the co-star for this episode is not the new companion. I thank fuck for that.
I know the actress you're talking about. Yeah.
You be the judge. But no.
Okay, well, I'll give it a shot. Have you watched any of the shows this year? Like, have you watched all the Doctor Who series?
Yeah. The only one that I refused to watch was either the first or the second episode of the new Doctor, where it was the babies, where he ends up on that space station, all the babies.
I'm out.
No,
I'm fucking done. The snot monster and the babies. I just said no. That was
absolute bullshit. No, we turned that off after about 10-15 minutes, and then that was me done with Doctor Who until they got further into the series.
Yeah.
And we heard that some of the later episodes were actually quite good. So we didn't go back to the baby episode. That could go fuck itself. And then we started watching it from a later episode. And it's all like, you know what? I actually quite like this new Doctor. He's okay.
For me, that's the problem. I like the actor. I really do. I've seen him in different stuff, and I like him. And I know later episodes, they start bringing romance for the Doctor, which, okay, I mean, it wasn't. And then, changing around to suit the people nowadays, right?
Yeah.
And I don't mean just those people. I mean people in general. Updated so the larger audience, whatever. I miss the show. I've talked about this before. I miss it where it's just Doctor after the bad guy because he's doing something bad. Not after the bad guy because he says, something politically wrong or. I mean, Star Trek made all those kind of statements, but you had to really search for it, right? So,
well, Star Trek was more subtle, It's sometimes it wasn't, like the episode with Frank Gorshin in it where half of them were black and white and half of them were white and black. That wasn't subtle at all. But generally Star Trek was pretty subtle with the messages that it was giving, just by virtue of the fact of having Michelle Nichols in the show at all. Was a statement in those days, and good for them. I was going to say Star Trek. Doctor Who is better when there's a bad guy to fight.
Yeah.
When he's up against it, when he's up against someone else, when he's trying to outsmart someone else or beat somebody else's, foil the plan. This Christmas episode isn't that. There is a problem that he has to solve because he's trying to save someone's life.
Mm-hmm.
But there isn't really a bad guy. So it's
Yeah. Okay.
It's like I said, it's okay. It's not shit.
Hey, fuck! He's coming up with all kinds of titles.
It's not shit.
I've got a whole list on one side.
You guys think that Doctor Who is going to make it? Like even Stephen Moffat said he wasn't sure whether it was going to be renewed again.
Yeah.
And that's a showrunner who's usually like, oh, of course it's going to get renewed. And he said, I don't know when it's going to get renewed again. Do you think there's a chance they'll cancel it again?
I think there's a chance they'll cancel it again. I think they'll just put
historically
it for a few years.
Historically low ratings. These ratings for the shows this season have been the lowest in the history of the franchise.
I think they're just they've stopped getting away from stories where it's like he said, where they're going against the bad guys and there's no big real reason political thing in the story. It's just simple. We're telling the story, just popped in. I had the one with Tenet where there was this being inside the TV and it was taking over people and stuff. 1966 or in the Jubilee of the Queen and stuff. Just those kind of stories where we want to sit and watch. And I think part of Doctor Who is just fun and adventure. It's not about waving your dick in people's faces or talking about whatever. It's just that people want to sit and watch an adventure of Doctor Who where he's fighting the bad guy and there's no fucking social message in it, which showrunners seem to think that's necessary. And I think that's part of the reason that it's so low. Because people don't want to watch the show to get more message that they're getting all the fucking time on everything else. They want a simple adventure. And that's why I turned off. And as much as I'm a fan of Jodie Foster's Doctor, I would take her over this season, even though the stories she got were pretty shitty. I want to bad guy here, bad guy. I can go on explain the same thing over and over. But that's why I think it's not going to get. Yeah, not going to get.
It doesn't seem like it's even bad guys. It seems like it's good villains.
Yeah, I mean, okay, good villains, bad guys, whatever. But it's like stop. Yeah. Anyways, I've said that over and over.
I was reading an article the other day, and I want to make sure I have this right. Does BBC have a second-tier subscription you can subscribe to? And it's more for Paul. Is there something that the BBC has as an extra tier that you can subscribe to and pay extra money for?
No. The BBC is funded by a TV license that's kind of mandatory to pay. It was an article about them losing like 1.5 million subscribers of some sort. Does the average person
freeze up
in Britain have to do something to? It was an article, and it was like they had lost 1.5 million of something over the last year, and it was like it almost sounded like people were tuning out of the BBC, and I thought it was a tiered program, perhaps. But no, I just read the article the other day.
No, the BBC have got us by the balls because however you watch your television, you will get BBC. And as long as you have something that is capable of tuning into BBC, then you have to pay a license fee. The license fee goes to the BBC, and that's where they get all the money to make their TV programs.
That has something to do with the fees. Yeah.
You can just opt out. You can just boycott BBC so they don't get any ratings. But if your TV can still receive a BBC signal, then you still have to pay the license fee. And the subscriptions might just be the iPlayer subscriptions. It might just be.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I think it's probably just the number of people that are using BBC iPlayers going down.
Okay, that's what it was. It was 1.5 million. It was a chunk. It was a chunk, and there was a story about it. And I was just curious if that's what it was, an extra tier subscription or something. But it's funny when we were talking about NBC. At one point in time, I watched a ton of shows on their network, and we watched the last one last year. And actually, Sue and I are talking, we're getting rid of cable in the new year because there's nothing on there we watch anymore. Like nothing. New Amsterdam and The Good Doctor. The shows ended and they shot themselves in the foot, much like you're talking with Doctor Who, and we're just not watching network cable anymore. There's so many apps out there where you can just sign up. If you spend like $100 a month on apps, you can get entertainment. You don't need basic cable. So
most of the TV that we watch is via an app. I've got a streaming TV, which basically is just loaded up with all the television apps. And the service that I use, Sky, which just Sky aside, because the majority of TV that we actually watch is via the apps, not on Sky, ironically. But the TV is called Sky Glass, and it streams from the internet. Everything is just via the internet, so everything's on demand. There's no digital recording box. I can watch live TV via Sky, but like I said, we don't watch live TV. We don't. We just watch on demand. If it's not on demand, we don't watch it because we don't have the means to record it, and it hasn't been a problem. So we could quite easily just cut out all our live TV services, and everything that we watch could be just via an app. But I'd probably still have to pay the BBC the license fee.
Oh yeah. You're not going to get away from that. Yeah. You've got to pay it, even if you don't use it. You're going to pay.
Yeah, but it's the future's getting closer. Is the point? Just agreeing with Scott there, really. That you can just survive off television streaming apps. You don't need cable. You don't need live TV. You don't need a TV antenna for anything.
Yeah, it's just the same. It's just everybody got away from TV because of streaming because it was not like having to buy, $100 package on your cable to get the stuff. Now you're just spending $100 on. It's just a reverse.
Yeah, but I mean, you have more of a choice. Like Apple TV just showed up as an option to subscribe to under our cable package or our TV package, and we were just like, why are we doing this? And we're getting another TV here in a week or so. And I said, I'm going to make sure that we can just go right over the net and not have to deal with basic cable because there's nothing we watch on it now.
I just bluntly steal mine.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this a bunch of times. I got a VPN and I use it, and I just don't want to pay all that money for all these shows that I'm known for all these channels or some of the stuff I am not going to watch.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm getting to the age of they said, well, if you don't pay back, you're going to be put in jail. Okay. Ooh.
I told Susan, if I get something tomorrow, every fucking credit card company that comes to my door now is getting a yes. And then I just have to talk to a lawyer to find a way to not make Susan responsible for my debt.
Yeah. I just say, oh, you're taking me to jail.
Yeah.
It's
3 meals?
3 meals
I can
a day.
read whatever I want.
I get
done.
I'll get my medicine covered, 3 meals, a room to sleep in. Maybe I got to share. Who knows? Maybe not. Books. Getting back into reading, books. I can get books. If you go in there right, you even get a small little TV brought in, So
too old to be handsome, enough to be fucked. So I mean, you're pretty safe on all the things.
Is it wrong that every single person here has actually seriously considered it?
I said to Susan, I said they just updated the remand. The remand is a local prison out here, and I
don't want to go to the remand though. You want to go just the other ones. Remand's for the hardcore criminals.
Well, but they have oh my God, the access that they have specific meal planning, they have internet, they have TV, they have yard. It would suck, but once you get used to it, as I said, if you could not be fucked, you'd probably have a decent time at it.
The other thing is the older you get, your mobility goes down, so you stay inside most of the time anyhow.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, luckily some people can walk around and stuff, but let's say you get to a point where you just can't, fuck it. Like today, should I go out after this? Oh, I don't know, maybe not. If you get to the point where you're hardly going out and you're stuck in prison getting fed And maybe getting banged by some big black guy once in a while. So, okay, all right.
Kids,
is it? Hey, man, you're fucking early. You're not supposed to be here till 10.
Kids were 50 plus. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So,
okay.
So, okay, Scott, what's that?
Oh,
veering away from that,
I actually for the show.
Yeah.
I actually have a note. John, you read the Star Wars stuff now, correct? As for comics?
Yeah, I read mostly all the Star Wars
Mark
stuff.
Mark Guggenheim, you've seen his name a lot. He's got a new series coming out that's set in the prequel era called something Knights, Jedi Knights, maybe it's called something that simple. But he's writing that book.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen his name on a lot of Star Wars books. And Susan has been watching the first 3 seasons of both Arrow and Flash.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched, there was a scene with Arrow fighting Hawkman in the streets of Vancouver. And it's just one of those, I watched it for 10 minutes and I was thinking, that motherfucker's the one who destroyed all of this. And Guggenheim, I had just seen on Wednesday that he has a new series coming out in Star Wars. He destroyed that universe, and they put him on the Star Wars one at Marvel. The definition of failing.
Okay, so it's only a comic book then.
Yeah, it's a comic book.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not worried about it then.
The fact that he did what he did with that CW universe, and when you really watch those old shows, you're thinking, God damn, that thing took a fall. And now he is on the Star Wars comic universe, which we know now is going to probably be, as the Star Wars shows start coming out, they're probably going to be based more on the comics. You think to yourself, that guy's the definition of failing up. But I was watching Slow Horses season 1, and I am really enjoying it. Gary Oldman is a national treasure. The writing is fantastic. I would say the creativity in writing, because there's not, it's UK based, so there's not a lot of gun battles in the streets, so it's more creative with how they solve things. Seeing Kirsten Scott, I believe her name is Kristen Scott Thomas. Would that sound right? Okay.
I think that's right, yeah.
I knew her for years from The English Patient, and I wanted to strangle her because that was the worst fucking movie I've ever seen. I remember it won an Academy Award, and I'm thinking, I was back in the day where I watched all that kind of stuff, and I remember watching it, and I was like, I hope that bitch is dead in that cave, because I was like, it was a terrible movie, but I thought she was a fantastic actress. She still is absolutely breathtaking. Yeah. But the scene with her and Gary Oldman sitting on that bench in the park, where she's waxing eloquent, and then he lifts his arse and farts. I know the two of them were doing that scene and read that script, and they said, we're going to have a lot of fun on this series. Yeah. John, for context, she's sitting there and they're having this serious conversation, and she's trying to get him to take it serious, and he lifts his eyes and it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, that's gonna, and the look on her face, I'm thinking, there's a 50-50 chance that wasn't planned, and Oldman just pulled that out to see if he could break her. But it was great, and his whole character, he has, you had mentioned this before, Paul, he has some great one-liners, and if you really want to take the piss out of somebody, you just take a notepad and sit down and listen to that series, because his lines are fucking fantastic.
If you want to just cut someone to the bone, any one of his lines. Now, to be fair, talking about the creativity, to be fair, it is based on a book series by Nick Herron, I think it is, Herron. So the premise is somebody else's, but obviously the TV adaptation of the screenplay would, credit to them, because and also to the actors for sort of like, bringing it to life, because it is very good. I really enjoy watching it, and I think it's a good TV show when at the end of the episode and the credits roll, that's the first time you realize you've been watching a TV show. You think, oh my god, that's all.
It's movie quality. It's movie quality.
Yeah, that's it.
It's definitely movie quality. And when I'm at the end I'm just about to watch, I think, the last episode of the first season. Basically, it's where, without giving too much away, they're going through the countryside. They've got the gentleman in the back of the van, and I think it's one episode after this, probably.
Yeah, I think there's only about 6 episodes per season.
Yeah. So, but he's in it. One thing I do have to ask, because we mistakenly started another season, and there was something that came up. Do they focus solely on the nationalist terrorism aspect in the series? Because I know the first season's like that, and it looks like the season we started to watch. And I'm thinking, do they, and it would take balls because the time we're in, do they focus on the fears of the legitimate fears that some Britons have that, that terrorism are going to come from other shores? Or is it just all nationalist terrorism the entire series?
No, there's season 4. Let's say there's an international influence.
Okay.
But there's links to domestic as well. But there's always an element of terrorism because they're MI5.
Yeah.
So they're not just dealing with like normal crime. There is also there's an element of national security, an element of terrorism, like large scale something or other. So that's kind of the theme behind it all. But I think it's mostly domestic, but there's a there's a whiff of
you know what I mean, because
involvement.
Because if they did go to that, they would probably get a huge backlash from certain segments of the public, where how dare you talk about this thing that happens all the time in other parts of the world. So I was just curious. I said to Susan, I said, when I saw that happen, then we saw that, I said, I hope it's not that for 4 seasons, because after a while it's going to get a bit tedious. It's like, can't you talk about the thing that actually is happening within the country? But it's a BBC also, and it tends to go specifically a certain way. But Gary Oldman, he you can tell he's having the time of his life doing this. Even the actor who plays his name escapes me. He's a young actor.
Like the main lad. The character's called River Cartwright.
Yes, River Cartwright. It's funny. The first episode, when he's running through the airport.
Yeah.
Susan looks over at me and she said, if that was Tom Cruise, he would have caught that guy by now. Because it's the same run, except it's not that Tom Cruise run. He said he would have caught him. He would have caught him before he made it to the tube.
Yeah, that's right. No, I think they were definitely drawing on Tom Cruise for inspiration for that. Yeah. And then when it all goes wrong, oops.
But it's amazing. I like the little nods to. And you forget about it. To me, the sign of a good series is when you forget anything except how good the story is. Until every now and then things will kick you back, and you're like, "Oh yeah, this is overseas. It's in the UK." But so far, I'm loving it. And I mean, every character, they're fleshing them out well. There's lots of mystery to them as they kind of peel back the onion on the characters, and they do that with all of them. The young lady from House of the Dragon, the Queen. Yeah. She's very good in it up to this point. I mean, her future's kind of in doubt, but I love seeing her. But yeah, there's a bunch of actors, I should say, I hadn't seen before, and they're very, very well done. So if you're looking for a good espionage show, that's definitely a recommendation from me.
Excellent. I'm glad you enjoy it. I love it. Me and my wife both love it. No, I'm thinking of something else. There's definitely going to be another season.
That's 4 already.
There's definitely going to be a 5th. I was going to say I think they've confirmed another 2, but I think I'm actually getting confused with something else. Silo has just been renewed for 2 more seasons.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at that actually.
I'm going to bring that up in one of my shows I've watched. I watched episode 1. So I mean, but I'm going to talk about first. I've watched the first 2 episodes of Agatha Harkness.
Okay, all right.
So I broke down and watched them. It's just because I wasn't really interested, but I actually enjoyed myself watching those first 2 episodes. They're actually pretty entertaining. Catherine Hahn's. I think I forget how, like I watch her I don't seek her out, but when I do watch her, I enjoy her performances, and this one's just pretty good. Like she's a range all over the place, and when she's talking to people and whispering and looking around, and but I'm gonna go back and watch the rest. I
think you should. Yeah, if you enjoy the first two, then you should definitely watch the rest of the series.
Oh yeah, I mean I did pick up my phone, so I was.
Yeah, well, that's a good start.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. I liked her trying to get her powers back, trying to piss off the other witches, they always, we're helping her, but we don't trust her. Even the kid, sometimes when you get the second carrier, the male, the kid in this part didn't piss me off any. Sometimes they do, right? They're annoying. They don't bring anything except to being annoying little pricks. But this guy, no. He's actually a good side character to her because she has his things, and all of a sudden he comes up with something going, hey, look. So he's proven his worth to her, not just being, someone that hangs around, wants a familiar, right? The other actresses, I didn't write down but she plays in the 90s show and the 70s show. She plays the mother. She's in it. I don't think she's a witch. I think she just got sucked into it. Because she just doesn't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Oh, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Mrs. something or other. Yeah. I can't remember. But that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's because she's just, okay. And then they're chanting and she's just, okay, what's happening around? So I broke down and I said, okay, I got to give it at least a chance. I've been enough time away from everything that all the hype has kind of died down. I'm not hearing a lot about it. I can go and watch it and just enjoy it on my own. And I did. So,
yeah.
Deborah Jo Roop.
Sorry, go on.
Kitty Foreman. That's the actress who played Kitty Foreman. But it's Deborah Jo Roop, R-U-P-P. So, but she just, it's not Kitty, but it's also kind of like the same, I don't know what's going on sort of thing. She's a little bit less clueless than, she's a little bit more clueless than the character she played on the 70s show. So I enjoyed that one. I mean, I have today and tomorrow. Don't know what I'm gonna do, but I can catch up on the rest. I'm splitting stuff up. So I'll watch 1 or 2 episodes, and don't watch them all at once. The only thing I did try as quick is Secret Level. I don't know if you guys have seen any of those yet.
Oh, I've heard of that. I've not started watching it yet though, but I'm interested enough to watch them. But
okay.
I'll know about them, not if they're actually any good or not.
I watched all. I watched all of them.
Right. Okay, what did you think?
Well, give me a second. I forgot to grab my paper with the stuff I had wrote on. Okay, so you can bring up one of your shows while I'm gone, and I'll join in one later.
Okay.
Paul, I think we should just sit here and call them a content about 7 different languages over the next few minutes. Con.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to Google. I'm familiar with the British. But it's probably fairly universal.
And we're back.
Yeah,
that's all we've got to say about that.
Okay. All right. So if you want me, I'll jump into. I found them all really entertaining. Now I wrote down 3 of them that I found really entertaining. That I really enjoyed, because I thought some of these would be just voice actors portraying the characters that you recognized. So I'll just give you so overall they're all entertaining. They're all based on video games. It sounds like the creator of the show, Tim Miller, who did help do the first Deadpool.
Right.
He said it was hard trying to get all these video game companies to cooperate to doing one thing, because we want to make sure our properties, whatever, right, looked after. We don't want to be on a show that's going to help promote another game, take business away from us, sort of deal.
Oh, yeah, they have
Okay.
been.
Yeah.
Licensing and everything will be a
Yeah.
nightmare.
So, I'll just do the three. So the first one that I thought really entertained because of the character. I said, my God, this sounds like this character, and it's the new is a new world, the once and future king. It says a conquering king washes ashore on a mysterious island with no army and no clue. He may need an eternity to figure out his purpose. So basically, the character goes, big. It was actually Arnold doing the voice. It wasn't another guy doing it. So it's Arnold playing this over-exaggerated character of the conquering hero, like he would play in other things, right? And the island he lands on, it's you don't die. You constantly, and he wants to conquer the island. He's the big conqueror. He wants to go up to the top of the hill and beat the king and become. So it just shows his constant attempts to try and become this guy. And he knows if he eventually figures out, gets this armor from this one character, because he's not going to die. He just goes and grabs a piece of armor. And this time, it's just though I am the king and I will always be the king. I'm the greatest and stuff. And he always get killed by this king. He's getting killed by this entity. And he doesn't win. And at one point, the guy's the king. He just says, okay, I'm fucking enough. Here's the crown. Throws it to him, and he's all. You think he's learned his lesson, and oh no, the king, this crown is mine. He grabs it, puts it on, and he's all proud of himself. And the king walks over, opens up a chest, and there's a fucking bunch of crowns in there. He just picks up, puts it on, and he finally learns the lesson that he's not, he's not who he think he is. That the one person that survived from all the ships that came. Yeah. Who's been his sort of second-hand guy, not really a servant, but finds out, he's more important to him than the crown. So that was really entertaining. Now, you guys must have heard of Warhammer, the game, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yeah. I know very little about the game. I just know it's a big role-playing game, very in-depth, a lot of stuff you have to learn to play this fucking game. Because after I watched Warhammer 4000 and They Shall Not Know Fear, I went and did that a little. There's a guy video online that talks about this episode, and holy fuck, there's no way in hell I get into this game. There's just too much to know.
Huge amounts of history with Warhammer. Huge amounts of lore.
I like solitaire. You don't take a lot of thinking, right? This would take too much and expensive. So in the grim darkness of the far future, a genetically engineered warrior who has served on the front lines for centuries confronts his legacy as his squad hunts down a mutant sorcerer. And it's just fantastic. The CGC, the little background story of the one character. The one point there, he's pulling through they get on a mission. Basically, they're saying this is a suicide mission. You're not coming back. And so you see there's 4 of them. And the one guy's dragging a fucking, like a suitcase with the demons, skulls, and shit on it. And they get attacked by this horde of semi-mutant humans. And there's just the 4 guys. And they're just fucking... They're walking tanks. They're versions of Daleks. Yeah. Except, they can think on their own in a way. And also part of the background story is that there's a child. They take children, brainwash them, grow them up to be soldiers, and get rid of the fear. I know, right? And the story is, what happens if you get one child that never has fear? What would he be like? And you kind of see it towards the end. Very good. Even if you don't want to figure out the rest of the Warhammer thing and just watch this episode, very well done. I really enjoyed it. And then the second one is called Armored Core Assist Management. In a frostbitten frontier world, a legendary Merc pilot learns his latest mission might hold the key to demons that have haunted him for decades. So it's about this genetically engineered pilot of some war or whatever it was before. Now he's just a mercenary hired for money. And they fly these big tech robots like you would see in some of these games. The pilot gets in, and a walking tank and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's Keanu. I keep pronouncing it wrong. Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves. It's him. Keanu. I don't know why I can't just. So it looks like him. It's actually him. He came in for 13 hours. They said straight to do this role.
Yeah.
And again, it is so well done. The battle, it reminds me a bit of the Japanese animation, but done 100 times better.
Yeah.
And him fighting around, driving around in this flying vehicle tank, taking on different aspects of different tanks coming. If he's on this mission to find out what's going on, and then when he goes into the building, he finds out like he thinks he's alone. He's the only one left, but he goes in there and sees this big factory where at one time there's a whole bunch of these people produced like him. And then basically it takes a little bit of a dark turn. You can think he's going to do this, and it doesn't do it. Another highly entertaining episode. But in all general, if you like video games, there's an interesting one where a different version of Pac-Man. I thought, Pac-Man, what the fuck are you going to do with Pac-Man? Yeah. They took this and they turned it to a very interesting way of having Pac-Man in it. So that one's I'll be fourth on my list. Just what they did with the Pac-Man character. Instead of just having this yellow fucking ball numping on stuff. But all of them are entertaining. They're not very long. That's why you can watch a lot of them at once, because they're 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They're not long, in-depth episodes. Highly enjoyable though. So I would recommend those. So
when you mentioned Warhammer, I was watching an interview the other day with Henry Cavill, and I'm not sure. It looked like it was pretty recent. I think he was on James Corden, so it couldn't have been that recent. But he was talking about Warhammer very in depth, like you were saying, about how you would take the characters and at one point in time, I guess they're metal, and you would paint them all individually. Yeah. And now they're plastic, and there's a name for the whole battlefield, something about gray, that they give a name to it.
I can't remember the name.
For your entire thing. But it's funny. You could hear the audience, specifically the ladies' audience. You could hear vaginas lubricating and simultaneously drying up at the same time. It was just fascinating to hear, like, the ladies were like, what a handsome Greek god of a man, and I've never been fucking more bored in my life. Yeah. It was hilarious. It was just like, but he's just, he's very unique. You know, where he's that guy.
A gamer.
He's a gamer, but he looks like a Greek god, and it's hilarious to see when they show the audience. The women are like, just for a night. I take it for a night, but that's about it. That's all I do.
Yeah, like he was in Witcher. I mean, he got out of Witcher because he didn't like what they were doing with the story. And,
with Warhammer, but he during the interview, he's talking about Warhammer, and he's talking about all that technical stuff you just kind of were alluding to. And you can tell he is the real deal for the stuff like that.
Well, there's stories online talking about he fighting with the production company.
Yes,
because the character you see, the 4 walking tanks, he said they're all men, and they wanted to put women into it. Now there's women in it, but I think this division of whatever they're called is only men.
Yeah.
But there is women that fight. They're all done the same thing. But there's also different. There's this group and this group, and then there's just plain human soldiers too. Yeah. So there's all kinds of different divisions all the way up. I think he's saying, no, this is what they are. They stay that way. We have women characters. They're in this. This is what they are. But you're not going to take them and put them in these suits because that's not how the game's played, or that's how it is.
He went through that with Witcher. You can tell by his interviews, he'll never do anything like that again. Fuck you. I'll just quit. You know.
Well, that's why he's really trying to take control of this.
Well, he did. It was settled. I guess it was settled in December, and Warhammer, the movies are going ahead. So
yeah, so
I think he's got a point though. I mean, on the surface of it, it's kind of like a clickbait headline, isn't it? You know, Henry Cavill opposes women characters or something ridiculous like that. But when you look at Halo, which is an extremely popular video game that has its own set of rules and history and lore and that sort of thing, for the TV show, they really started fucking around with Master Chief and with the storyline and the characters.
Amazing.
And nobody liked it. And that show, there should have been millions of people watching that because of the video game franchise. You've got millions of Warhammer fans. And you can kind of see Henry Cavill's point, because Halo's the prime example. If you start changing the lore, if you start changing the rules, and start changing the way that things actually work in that universe, the fans won't touch it with a barge pole.
Yeah.
They won't go anywhere near it. They'll just say, no, fuck you, you did it wrong. It's all shit. Yeah. We're not interested. We're not spending any money on it. We're not watching it. You can all fuck off. And it was said before it even broadcasts.
There's a cultish insidiousness to some of the stuff. I say some of the stuff that's gone on in the last 7 years, where it's not about making money. It's about making a point. And they're willing to sacrifice millions of dollars to do it. It really is crazy. You know, I mean, there's some things that should have come to a head a long time ago, but the other things that were kind of innocuous, like video games, like just simply following the storyline as was in the video game, and they're like, no, you know what, we're going to insert this and this in it, and money and future revenue be damned. And that tells me that there's something there more than just we want to make something entertaining. We're going to preach and you're going to listen, and we don't care what it costs us.
Well, they're learning. Hopefully they're learning. Stop fucking preaching. Okay, so I did that. And I talked about Agatha. So who's on the next list of what shit they want to talk about? Because I got mostly TV shows.
You brought up Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
I just listened to, it's actually a podcast. He was on Two Bears, One Cave with Bert Keichner and Tom Segura. He did an interview with them yesterday, and I love the fact that some of these Hollywood guys are willing to go on more podcasts than they used to. And I loved it. It was a 90-minute interview, and, you know, it's not like network TV. You can get a little saltier. He can tell salty jokes, and he's got a great sense of humor. And he was talking about his time with Milton Berle and all the fucking, jokes that he used to tell. And he had talked about him and Stallone and some of the shit that they used to do to each other. And you hear about some of it, how there was kind of a dick measuring contest in the 80s.
Yeah.
But he's able to tell the really raunchy stories that I don't think he's there. Some of them I've never heard, because most of it's been network TV interviews, and they can't really talk about it. But Tom was talking about the first first restricted movie he ever saw. His dad had taken him on a trip, and he said, you can't tell your mom you're watching this, but it was Arnold Schwarzenegger's Predator. And he's right. I remember back in the 80s, and you probably remember it too, when you saw Stallone and Schwarzenegger, it's like they were action figures. You didn't think it was an attainable body. You wondered how it got there. And there was a conversation about that they had to look a certain way. And he was talking about his influences, Muhammad Ali and Nelson Mandela, and he had some really great stories about them. I didn't know this. This was a new one for me, and it's great. He's able to tell these stories, because I don't think he could hold this story on network TV. I'm sure of it, actually. He said Muhammad Ali, every time he met him, he would call him Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wouldn't call him nigger. He would call him Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. And he said every time we were on a show together, the host would introduce him as Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he said Muhammad Ali every single time, and he'd say, it's Schwarzenegger. And he said he used to say he's one of us. He used that name over and over and over again. He said we were on like 4 or 5 different shows, and every single time the host would say this and he would say that name, and I would be like, please don't do that, Muhammad. But just telling stories like that, I've never heard that story before, but he could not tell that anywhere except on podcasts like this, where it was an 18A rating where he could cut loose. So it's a great interview. It's about 90 minutes long. It's Two Bears, One Cave, and you can find it. It's the latest interview. It was dropped on Christmas, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But it's fantastic. Just fantastic.
I'll write that down. Give a shout to another podcast.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Paul.
Yes.
We're just going back and forth here. What do you got? Anything else you want to bring up? Because I got a couple more stuff here.
Yeah, still on TV.
Yeah.
Well, we started watching The Lincoln Lawyer recently on Netflix.
Okay.
I don't know whether either of you are familiar with that. Now, I think I've spoken a little while ago about a TV series called Bosch, which had Titus Welliver was the main character. He was Bosch. Went for about 7 seasons, something like that. It's really good detective TV show. Really enjoyed it. And it's based on a series of books. Oh God, what's the name of the author now? Michael Connolly. Now Michael Connolly also writes The Lincoln Lawyer. And when I realised that, I was suddenly more interested in the Netflix show, which I'd never give it a second look, because I'm not really a legal drama sort of guy. But I thought, he's a good writer. This guy's a good writer. He writes good characters, good plot lines and stories. So I'm going to give it a go. And we've watched the first 2 seasons in the last week, and we've really enjoyed it. We're just about to start season 3. And, again, I'm not really a legal drama type of guy, but there's just something about the characters, the dialogue, the interactions, the plots. Every now and again, there's a big case per season, and that's where most of the time goes. But there's also several B plots and C plots, whereas every now and again he gets a phone call, so it's like, oh, such and such a client is in prison for such and such, and so he'll go rushing off there and he'll come up with some sort of fancy defense, get something kicked out, get a reduced sentence or something like that. So they just chuck in some side hustles every now and again, just to sort of keep the pace going. And it's good. It's good. It's not my favourite type of show. It's not excellent, but I've enjoyed watching it. And some of the solutions to the problems that he has are actually quite clever. It's the type of thing where he puts things in motion, maybe an episode or 2 prior to the actual result, and then it sort of recaps it, and it's almost a little bit like Ocean's 11, whereas when there's the payoff, you get that sort of quick cutting back to things that people have done or said. If someone's been following someone, they've taken a few photographs, they've got something from an interview somewhere, and it all comes together, and it all just they just drop this bombshell in the courtroom. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I didn't see that coming. Excellent. And it's good. It's good. That's probably the as much as I can say about it. It's good. It's definitely better than not shit enough to stop watching. It's actually good. It is actually a good show.
Just a side note, I was looking a little at Paul, you're coming up with so many good titles.
Yeah.
I'm a creative guy. What can I say?
You have to go. But the only one that I so far I've contributed, and it's got you haven't come up with anything that brings. I know.
I'm just
what the fuck
there.
So we're talking about the prison. Retired in a prison.
Oh yeah.
For some reason, I wrote retarded in a prison instead of retired.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oops.
So, not shit enough to stop watching. It's too long, but great. Massive load. Pissing on the show. What a prick. It's not shit. Well, he's off for a little bit.
All right.
I've been looking at every once in a while on Facebook. I get a lot of photos from Scotland, Edinburgh, around in countryside. And I'm always clicking. So I get a lot of likes. And my ex gave me for what present it was, but it was enough for me to start thinking again. Oh fuck, what's it gonna cost me? And the only thing that's stopping, like, it's not stopping me, but it's the cost. It's like I can go to Japan for 2 weeks. What it would cost me to go for 1 week in England, right?
Yeah. The cost of living is very expensive in England compared to Japan.
And
I believe it's very cheap.
Our dollar is so weak. And as much as, it's like, what can I afford? As much as I want to go visit you in Carolina and go see a Wrexham game, it's like, I can go for 2 weeks to Japan and
Did you go with your son a little while ago?
Yeah, we went to Japan for 2 weeks.
That's right. Yeah. So because I was going to say you're better off going somewhere you haven't actually been, but you've been to England and you've been to Japan. So
I want to go to Germany. I mean, they're going to have having direct flights from Edmonton to Germany. So,
I've never been to Germany. I quite fancy Germany too.
Yeah. So
like Berlin.
Yeah, I mean, just around, just to see. And I didn't really realize until I started talking about it a while ago. I said, Jesus, I'm picking all the Axis ally countries to go see.
I was going to say, Jesus.
So
Japan, Germany, and
Italy.
England. You got to go to Italy. There you go.
Well, I went to England. I shouldn't say Axis ally, but World War II countries, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, anywhere you visit in Europe, they were all involved. To one degree or another.
But I'm thinking about the main characters, right? England and Germany, because Germany and Japan, and the rest got sucked in.
Yes.
Anyways, I was just talking about to Paul about seeing pictures of England and following all the shit that was on there. So wanting to go again, but it costs half as much. Like it cost me about $4,500 to go to Japan for 2 weeks.
Wow.
And about the same for 1 week in England.
Yeah. So
that's a lot of money, isn't it? That's expensive.
Yeah, but that's a rough estimate because the ticket there and back was $1,500, right? And I always overestimate. I never spend that much because, you're going to spend this much for meals every day. Nah, I don't spend
overestimate is the best way.
I never spend that much on meals, and I don't need trinkets. I don't need shit to bring home, unless I can get a small Asian wife stuck into a suitcase.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyways, all right. So let's go back to the stuff. There's a small Asian wife. Hey, there's a go. Think that'll make a good title.
Another title.
Yeah. Scott, I think it's you. Or anything, or we could just because I have two more. So
we talked a bit about this online, but not really in person. The 28 Years Later trailer was just superb.
Yeah.
I
think we talked about it last show when Paul.
Did we talk about last show?
Yeah, I think Paul was away guarding the Queen. So.
Yeah, I wasn't on that one.
Yeah. But it's like I'm not a big horror fan, but
I'm excited about it. It's like it's funny for like a horror zombie film. It's probably the one I'm looking forward to the most so far next year.
Yeah, I really like that film series. I even like the second one. I even like 28 Weeks Later. Jeremy Renner, Robert Carlyle. I'm really interested to learn more about Cillian Murphy's character. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This is what I found interesting was you haven't been able to buy 28 Days Later up until now, digitally. That is digitally.
Okay.
In fact, I think it might have been delisted on physical media as well. Because I was looking for it just out of interest. It piqued me interest. I used to have the Blu-ray, and then I think I sold it on or lost it or something a long time ago. And with the trailer coming out, I thought, oh, you know what? I really fancy watching that film again. You can't find it anywhere, or you couldn't find it anywhere. And then a couple of weeks ago, it appeared on Apple. You can buy it on Apple. Went straight to #1 in the charts.
I bet.
They knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. I've not bought it yet, but I probably will. Just because it's like, I want to watch it again. And if I want to watch it again, I'm going to have to spend money.
Disney did that.
Have to buy it.
They put stuff in the vault for 10 years and then they bring it out and they repackage it and make millions off it. So it's not a new concept, but I think you'll start seeing studios, especially if they're long-term planners and they're like, you know what, we're going to do a sequel to this in 5 years. Let's take the original off the market for 3 or 4 years and get a interest built up for it.
Yeah, and now everything's digital. They can do that very easily. It's not even as if there's loads of copies of the DVD or Blu-ray out in circulation.
No.
If everyone's streaming, like we were only saying before, you can watch anything you want on a streaming service. Well, no, you can't. That's the decision of the platform holder or for the people who hold the rights to the movie itself.
I don't know whether. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to finish off by saying if they make the decision, you know what, nobody's watching that for the next 5 years. Bam, it's gone with a click of the fingers, with a push of a button, and you will not be able to find it anywhere. Like 28 days later, until they want you to, and then all of a sudden it's like, give us your money.
I think I just had this conversation with John about It's a Wonderful Life. There was a version of it that they put on Prime. That have you seen It's a Wonderful Life?
Yes,
Paul?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, the scene where he's in the graveyard and it's very dark, and he's talking about if he hadn't been there to save the school bus, and he wipes off the tombstone, shows that he's dead, but it's a very dark scene, and there's versions of it that Prime said they deleted that entire scene just because it was really dark. Wow. So when companies get a hold of it, it's easy enough to splice stuff that either they don't think looks good for the time or it's problematic to that day's politics. So I think you're going to see more people wanting to have specific copies of. I know I'm going to. I mean, I've got a list of movies and TV series when we get our Blu-ray player that I'm going to absolutely get. Seinfeld just came out on Blu-ray, and I've heard nothing but good things about it. I want to buy that set just so I have a copy of it for down the road.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I went to a place on White Avenue. It's a DVD place. It's kind of underground. Yeah. I was looking for Bicentennial Man. I wanted to watch that one again. So I couldn't find it unless it was with another movie, and I didn't want the other movie. I just wanted but I find it through other efforts. And but I'm in there, and I'm Howard Stern's Private Parts. He had it on, and I think I had that movie one time, but I just started watching it and go, oh my God, you know what? I don't hardly watch it, but when I do watch it, I enjoy it. So I bought it.
Yeah. Paul Giamatti's first part.
Yeah, I just kind of
Is that right?
Yep.
I just kind of looking for certain movies that I want to buy and have physical now, because I don't want it suddenly disappear or edited or whatever.
Yeah. So. Well, over the Christmas holiday, I wanted to watch the Christmas special, Mr. Bean.
Oh, yeah.
And I could not find it anywhere. I wanted to watch it with the kids. I wanted to introduce Addison and Oakland to Mr. Bean's Christmas special, and I couldn't find it.
And that's only
anywhere.
Just half an hour, right?
Yeah, it's just a half hour.
I watched
it
on YouTube.
It was on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I was looking on the TV. I thought it would be on some kind of streaming platform.
I keep forgetting to check YouTube.
Yeah, I watch YouTube a lot more.
YouTube has a shitload of movies on it that you wouldn't normally find. Like when you put in you can rent through there, but I never even thought to look for YouTube. Yeah, okay, good to know. Next year.
I don't know if you guys know this series. It's Andy Hardy. It's back in 1938 to 1946, I believe it was. Is a series starring Mickey Rooney. Yeah,
I was in the war then. I didn't watch much TV.
Okay, so I used to watch these on TV when I was younger all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to more watching. So 90% of the stuff I watch now is comfort entertainment.
Yeah.
Then, and I can find a couple of his movies on YouTube. Not all of them, but a couple Andy Hardy movies.
Nice.
And I'm thinking, you know what? I might just sit down and fucking watch these. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He pays for YouTube. He pays that monthly fee.
Yes, $20. It's worth it.
$15.
Yeah, 15, something like that.
Yeah, don't make it more expensive than what it is, Chuckles. And then,
well, I just got 2 months. They offer like 2-3 months where you can get it for free.
So he must watch more YouTube than anything else because he finds a lot of stuff, and he says it's so much better. No commercials. Some stuff you can get included with it. So, but
I've heard of a few people that pay the premium for YouTube because that's pretty much predominantly what they watch. And I think I'd probably do the same, but it's just too expensive. I think if it was 10 rather than 15, I might be more tempted. But 15, it's just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Just take all the adverts out of YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I pay Fubo, this is a soccer thing, as I can watch English football. I pay $30 a month for that. And I only watch Liverpool. And it's like, fuck. I can't get games any other way, though. That's just it.
Yeah. They've got you over a barrel there, haven't they?
But anyways, I have 2 more to go, and then we can go on to news and our top 5 and stuff.
Okay.
So, you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, you go.
Okay, so I can try to take some notes here for these two. You were just talking about Silo earlier.
Yes.
I downloaded. Oops, did I say that? I watched episode 1, season 1. Overall, I enjoy it. It's the same dystopia sort of idea. These people live in these giant silos. They say they're free, but in a way, there's certain things they cannot say, cannot do, cannot look at. They're controlled that way, but they still have this freedom to do other stuff as long as you don't break these certain rules or say these certain phrases. If you say this certain phrase, then, like, if they say, "I want out," they are arrested and then kicked out of the silo.
Yeah.
So part of the thing is that I've noticed that, so they've been in there for 140 years, maybe more, because they talk about 140 years ago, they celebrated called Freedom Day, and in which there's a group of rebels who are trying to, maybe once you guys can watch it or give me a more of an idea, because I might have missed something, is that they wanted to give more information to the people, but also open the doors. They've been there 140 years. Well, they're very well controlled under the system. So anything after 140 years has been erased. Anything they call a relic, if you're caught with it, you're kicked out or whatever. And so they control that. That's part of the thing for free, but don't you ever bring one of these things up. If you see how they say around you go, the rebel. It reminds me, in a way, of Fallout, because you're in these bunkers, you're in there, except they're not so extreme as to say if you want to go out, you can go out. I don't never in the Fallout thing ever seen anybody saying we're going to kick you out, sort of thing, right? This one, if you say I want out, you want out. So the Fasila Rashad, who was from Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
You remember her? She.
Oh, you said Fasila Rashad. I kept thinking Bill Cosby's wife, but yeah, no. I know who you're talking about now.
Is that? I should have wrote down the prep, but she's in the very first episode, and she begins to question stuff like what happens. Like they have these birth control devices in, because you have to get permission to fill an application so you can have kids because they're limited to what they can do. Mm-hmm. But she starts finding out different information. And there's this guy that found an old hard drive, 140 years old, with all this information on it. And he brings her down on the pretense that he has something wrong with his computer. But because she's always got this thing burned in her mind already, they end up opening it up, finding what's going on, and it's stuff that she's not supposed to see. But I found it very entertaining, even though it's another dystopia show. You know right away that what's outside is not what they're showing. I can tell you right away. It's one of those, you know that premise right away. It's like, oh, that's bullshit. I know it. So it's just a matter of getting to the point where you find out it is bullshit. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But usually a lot of times they say, oh, there's bad outside. You go outside and it's, it's not as bad as they say. Because she goes out and she shows her walking along and she falls. Now, it took till this morning. I was trying to figure out how did they get to the point where, how did she looks happy out there. She's smiling and everything. And then it's, oh, fuck. Now I realize what they did to her. And I realize what they're doing to them. I'm not going to tell you what, but it's okay. Yeah, that makes sense now. Because in a lot of these shows, there's a hidden thing. They've done something to cause this or cause that. And then Rebecca Ferguson stars in it.
Yes.
So this is where
Mission Impossible.
Yes. Yeah. Very good actress, very attractive woman, and she's the. I don't know why I've said that because she is, but to me, anyways. So it picks up now. I haven't watched episode 2, which I'll be doing later, and find out because I did enjoy this one, even though I see aspects of different stuff. Unlike where the Penguin was for me, it was a gangsters thing. This is dystopia. Something I already know this part. Let's see where it gets to, though. So, if you haven't watched it, I do recommend it. It is enjoyable. If you can put it on, how about instead of this, if you can find time to put it on your schedule, all the other stuff. As you said earlier, Paul, sometimes something's got to give. Something has to give. You can't watch it all. So, if you have time, you can put it on your schedule, check it out, and go. I do recommend checking it out. But if you have the time.
Did either of you watch the 100?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
You remember when they were in the silo near the end, like season 5?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of in that. But some of the stuff you mentioned, ironically, Mao in the 1930s in communist China, where he would do things where you couldn't talk about the past, and if you talked about the past at a certain time of the past, you were sanctioned for it, and you were cast out over doing certain things. A lot of that comes from, and I'm sure it's probably just from reading it, that the writers of the show may have been influenced by reading about that.
Well, this is based on a book.
Oh, yeah.
Written by Graham Yost.
Graham Yost.
I know Graham Yost because his father was a host of a series on TV Ontario when I was growing up, and they showed old movies. He was very, and his son became and he's written different stuff. He worked on Band of Brothers, I believed, and some other stuff. Yeah. But so I recognize the name. The first episode's written by him. I mean, we're getting to the point in our lives where we've seen so much, so we can pick out stuff from influences from this and from that and from that.
Yeah.
It's not fresh and new to us anymore. It's just how do you take it and twist it and make it interesting for people to want to watch. So, I can do my last one if you want, and then we can move on to whatever you guys want. So,
cool.
I watched Venom: The Last Dance last night, and I enjoyed this more than the second one. I enjoyed the second one, but it was okay. But the first one, second one was okay. Third one I enjoyed. There was only one spot that I picked out that I found very interesting. That is, you missed something here, guys. You needed to connect that somehow or whatever. Yeah. But Null, is it Null? Knull?
Null, yeah.
Null. So he's introduced in the start, and they're looking for the Codex, which is this when Spawn has, and it's like a key to release a present, so they want it. So he sends out those characters. Now, when I looked at these, these beasts they were sending out, it reminded me of the Brood from X-Men. The front of them, right? I said, that's a part of the Brood. So okay. Interesting at the start where Eddie and the Venom are sitting at a bar and they're talking to, if any of you guys watch Ted Lasso?
No, not yet.
No.
Okay, so the bartender is one of the soccer players from the show. So,
Okay.
He's in. Oh, all right. So he's talking about, you got this big purple guy that likes rings? Hey, what the hell? He does, maybe, okay. Well, suddenly he gets sucked back through this hole and he's back into his own. And Venom goes, oh, thank God, I'm sick of this multiverse shit. So,
yeah. Subtle messaging there.
Yeah. Now, there's a character introduced, and this name sounds familiar. I don't know where I heard it for. I assume it's from the comics. General Strickland? Does that ring a bell with any of you guys?
Yeah, I've been reading the Venom series, the last two of them, and he's kind of like a General Ross, I guess.
Yeah.
In that vein.
Yeah.
From the Hulk.
Yeah.
But
So he's introduced into this movie. He comes in to look after him. And there's all the secret stuff underneath. War of the World. There's one point in the movie where they're going in to see there's 5 different symbionts that they've captured, and they're looking for Venom. Right? They want Venom.
Yeah.
And so they're going in to talk to the one. She says she gets the thing on and he gets his on, Strickland, and he's just a go. And she says, what? No, you got to go in here first. You got to get sterilized. And he said, we're worried. What, are you worried about getting, them sick? So we carry all kinds of different diseases. You never know what might infect them. The first thing I thought was War of the Worlds. It was a simple cough or bug that killed all the aliens. So to me, it says, oh, okay, I recognize that concept. One of the actresses that was in it was this young woman, and I could not take my eyes off her. She's so pretty. I said, I know that face. I know where went back. Her name's Clark Bacco, and she was in Letterkenny. She played the lead character's girlfriend. She's a young black actress. So, you'd have to look it up. You'd have to be a fan of Letterkenny to know who she is. But I just thought, I can't take my eyes off of you.
I think I know who you're talking about. Was she possibly in that Jurassic Park movie?
I'd have to look it up again, but that's where I looked to see where I've seen her before, and I saw her.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So anyways, I said, God, the main lead actress, she's also from Ted Lasso. She's there, and I'm just ignoring her. I'm listening to her, but I'm just watching this other girl. I think, oh, fuck me, she's pretty. Get the old pervert out. And then the final things, when I'm done this list, I'll go over it basically. The one thing that I find, the characters that are after Venom can only see Venom when he's in full Venom and the Kodak can be seen. So that's the only way they can see it. Once he's back into being Eddie Brock, it just blurs in with everything else. Except one scene, they have Eddie on a helicopter and Venom separated. They're not together. But the only way this thing can see them if they're together. But for some reason, this creature decides to follow the helicopter and follows the helicopter into the silo where they're going. So to me, this is you fucked things up here, guys. Why is it following the helicopter? It doesn't recognize it for anything. It's just a blur. Because they show from the creature's eyes what it sees, and everything's just a fucking blur, lines. But for some reason, it decides, I'm going to follow this instead. So that's the one thing I said, you needed somehow to explain that, even with a sentence, with a word.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So other than that, Venom is funny as fuck. I know he's not supposed to be, but he is. It makes me laugh all the time. Again, Tom Hardy, I am amazed how this guy just changes into these different characters with walk and talk and mannerisms. He just becomes this character. The lady from the convenience store, if you saw that, she's there, and she knows about Venom. There's a big action scene because they're shutting down Area 51, so a lot of stuff takes place in that area. They have a Area 55, which is basically 5 levels down.
Yeah.
I enjoy the action. I enjoy the acting, except for a couple of small things like that. I thought it was a nice way to end the story. They have two cliffhangers in case one was kind of letting it open in case they wanted to do something else, and another one was just I kind of gave you a hint something might happen, but I just didn't understand the reasoning for it. I just let it play because I, found it through my other means and just left it on to see what would happen. And yeah, I had this one scene and just, oh, well, okay. So they left stuff open in case they wanted to do it again. But as long as you don't think too much about what's happening and just enjoy it and have fun, because Venom's kind of goofy in this. But goofy in a way that I don't read the Venom comic books. I don't know if he's always so serious, and they talk about him wanting to be the lethal protector, which he became in the comic books at one time.
Yeah.
So, but I enjoyed it. I really did. It's like I've watched the first one a few times. I haven't watched the second one. I think
Such a letdown.
Since Scott and I went and saw it.
Yeah.
But this third one, I probably could watch it again and still be entertained. So,
all right.
So that's it for what? Anything else you guys want to bring on before we do any sort of maybe news and then our end of the show stuff?
This kind of leads into what you were just talking about with Venom. It's news, but it's Sony CEO Tony. I'm going to butcher his name.
Tony son of a bitch.
Vinci Coera.
Mm-hmm.
He defended Sony's films. He was talking about, and it's amazing. It's the first time I've ever heard a CEO say, "You know what? This wasn't organic." And he was talking about Madam Web, and he was talking about Venom. He was talking about Craven. He said these weren't bad films. He said they got savaged by the critics, and I had one of his quotes here. He said, basically, any film we make is going to get savaged by the critics because, and it was kind of a veiled shot at Disney saying that basically they don't want us to be successful because they want the rights to Spider-Man back, which would kind of make sense. And I've always believed that. I remember when, even before Morbius came out, that they really, all of the critics were like, this is complete shit. And it wasn't. It wasn't. And I haven't seen Craven yet, and I haven't seen Venom, haven't seen Madam Web, but now I'm curious to watch them because this guy adamantly said these were not bad films. And he broke it down. He said they didn't do well at the box office because right out of the gate, every critic just savaged him, and he didn't hold any punches back. He said, but when they made it to streaming, they did very well. And he talked about Madam Web and so forth. And I don't know whether that was hate watching or not, but it's the closest I've heard anyone saying that, rival companies will try and sabotage you through bad reviews. Mm-hmm. And I've kind of believed that about Marvel for years, that they, because they hold a lot of sway in the industry. Mm-hmm. But I am curious to see Venom. I couldn't watch it in the theater. After watching what they did with Carnage in the second one, it was such a letdown that I really had no desire to watch the third one in the theater. Mm. I'm glad it sounded better. Null, the comic version, King in Black, was a fantastic story. It was a really big story, and I think that may have been one of the mistakes they made with this movie, is to have it in one movie when it very easily could have been two. They could have done a lot more with it. I don't know if they just wanted to get it a one and done or not.
Well, they opened it for a second one.
Yeah, okay, that's good because it's a big story, and I'm surprised that they didn't make it a bigger event than it was. The guy said Venom has made money again. He said it was trashed by the critics, but it still made money. So, and he made a point of adamantly saying that Morbius made money too. These made money, and he really alluded to during it's an interview actually that's on what was that? No, sorry, that's a different story. It was an interview that I saw. I believe it was Variety, and it's the first time I've ever seen a CEO say there's some fuckery going on here. It's not just falling on its face by itself. It looks like they're under attack on especially when it comes to critics, and I'd agree to that to a degree. As I said, I haven't seen the movies.
I was going to interrupt there. Right. There's one critic that I listened to that seems that I take his word for it because he has really nothing to do with reviews other than he's on the show and he talks about it, and that's Mark Bernard on Fat Man on Batman.
Yeah.
So because he has no stake in the game. Like he's not being printed online, he's not doing anything online except giving his opinion when he's on the show. Yeah. And he gave some really good examples of how bad this movie sucks, how badly it was written, how badly scenes were put together.
And which one was that, Venom?
No, Kraven the Hunter.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
How they did. No, I haven't go back and see what he said about Venom, but he just savagely. This movie is so bad, he said.
That's interesting because that first 9 minutes, it wasn't that bad. But yeah, I'll watch it. To me, that makes a curiosity. And as terrible as it sounds, I'm kind of falling into that trap where everyone says shit, and I'm like, how shitty is it really? I think I'll watch it. So.
Yeah. No, he explained some of the stuff, and I just kind of it's okay. I really had no intention of watching it, anyways.
Yeah.
I didn't want that version of Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah.
I'm not interested, even though I consider a lot of these movies multiverse, if you want to call them multiverse creations, because they have nothing to do with the actual real creations. I can multiverse, but even that was like, nah, fuck it.
The Sony CEO said, no matter what we make, and this is a direct quote, he said, no matter what we make, critics aren't going to like it, and I don't care. So I don't know.
Well, it could be someone just saying, I'm protecting my job. I'm going to say they're good. They're good. But
he started in 2017, so he's kind of responsible for all the bombs they've had, except for the big one.
He's not going to go say, well, we fucked the goat on this one. This is pretty shitty. These all fucking suck. I don't blame you for not going. He's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Unless he's getting ready to retire. So
Possibly. He's probably made a lot of money.
Yeah, but anyways. So.
I think that's everything for me.
Paul, you got another show you want to talk about? Or something you watched?
Yeah. I'm gonna blast through a couple and then have a small chat. So basically, I'm just going to follow up with what you were saying about Silo, because I'm halfway through season 2 at the moment.
Okay.
Now, you're right. It is. I think we've said this before. It's very, very much like Fallout because you've got all these people who are in a silo or a vault, depending on which show you're watching. Technology has stalled at about the same time. That the computers that they're using and that sort of thing. It's all kind of from that same era. Technology hasn't progressed at all while they've been locked away in these vaults. So there's awful lot of.
I got this once. You stick on your Skype. You see this thing, this arrow, right? Heart.
Yeah.
It kicked, and once in a while, my thing goes up, and then this bar comes up with all these emojis, and I can't get rid of it. So I just I'll hit that one.
Oh. I thought I just earned a paid subscription.
I love the idea.
I wish they had a part one. So, anyways.
The premise of the two shows is very similar. And I think I've described Silo before as kind of like a Fallout meets Lost sort of thing, because you've got all the relics and the unknown history, and people don't know what happened in the past and don't know what certain things are or what they do, that sort of thing. And as you progress, you start to learn more and more and more. Now, the only thing I will say is that I found it quite slow, unfortunately. And I think it's because it's such a closed environment, whereas Fallout, she leaves the vault and she goes out into into the open, and she visits different locations and meets different people. Silo, it's the same people in the same place all the time. And I did find it a little bit slow. However, I did enjoy it. I did like the way they wrapped up the first season. I like what they're doing with the second season. There's some interesting stuff. Answer some questions. It creates some more mysteries. It's not like, okay, I get that, but what the fuck? So it's worth it. You know, it's worth the journey. But when I got sort of to a midpoint towards the back end of season 1, I thought, oof, this doesn't feel like we've made very much progress since episode 3 here. But like I say, it's worth sticking with it. And it helps having Rebecca Ferguson as the star of the show. She's very pleasant to watch. So yeah, stick with it. I wanted to mention...
just a quick side note to that. It's been picked up for a 3rd and 4th season.
3rd and 4th. So it has. I thought I was getting it confused with a different show. Oh, no, we were talking about something else before, weren't we? Slow Horses. Yes, it's Silo that got picked up for 2 more. They're going to, because it's a trilogy of books, and they're going to take it right the way to the very end of the trilogy. Okay. But it sounds like they're doing a Mission Impossible and splitting the last book into 2 separate seasons.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now, that probably means we're going to slow down the storytelling even more to an absolute crawl just to fill out 2 more seasons. Jesus Christ. The only other things I wanted to whiz through very quickly, the Lower Decks, the Star Trek animated show. I think it's gone 5 seasons. They showed the series finale, the last ever episode, a couple of weeks ago. Really enjoyed it. Lots of guest appearances. Wrap things up. I've really enjoyed the show start to finish. You know, but I don't think there's been many dud episodes at all. It's been pretty good. That's definitely worth a watch. What We Do in the Shadows has returned for the final season. I think it's been shown previously, but I've just started watching it in the UK on Disney Plus. So for any UK listeners, that's available now, and that's the final season of What We Do in the Shadows. I'm about halfway through, and it's good. They've all been good. I really enjoy
the final is really interesting.
Is it? Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably have that. Well, definitely have that watch by the time we record again. 100%. So I'm really enjoying that. And I just wanted to mention Skeleton Crew, the Star Wars show.
Oh yes.
I've been watching that. Have you been watching that?
Yes, I have.
I'm intrigued by this show because I wasn't actually planning on watching it. I thought I'll give the first episode a go so that I can join in the conversation, but I don't anticipate I'm going to watch the whole thing. And I've been watching it every week, and I quite like it. I quite like the story's pretty good. I mean, it's about a bunch of kids, and I fucking hate stories about bunches of kids. But it does give me Goonies vibes, and I do like the Goonies. And there's an awful lot of practical effects in there, which takes you back to the original Star Wars, with mixed degrees of success. I mean, it's not got a movie budget, and they're trying to do the same thing with the TV show they did with the original movie. Like I said, there's a lot of practical and physical effects, obviously. But Jude Law's good. The robot they've got's good. The story itself is pretty good. The special effects are serviceable. It's not shit enough to stop watching.
I agree.
I like it more than I expected I was going to like it. I don't think it's shit. It's actually quite good.
I agree with you. I talked to Scott about this. The only time I really got annoyed with it was the little kid at the start. The boy. I wanted to just punch him in the head. He was just one of those annoying little fucks that, and just, I'm clarifying. The actor that's doing the character is doing such a good job of doing that little kid that way that I want to beat him. I'm not blaming the actor. I don't blame the actor. I know there's a difference. Now, he may be that like real life. I don't know. But in the show, he's playing a certain character, a certain way that I just want to biff him, right?
Yeah.
But as the shows go on, as the shows are going along, though, he's starting to change. he's starting to become more a realization of stuff. So he's not as annoying as he was at the very first. So, but I am too. I maybe it's because I wanted something sort of different. I didn't want a Jedi story. I didn't want a Skywalker story. I didn't want to know about the Old Republic or someone's sexual preference in the Old Republic or whatever like that. I didn't want to know any of that shit. I didn't know. And this was just some kids, one kid wanting to get away like any other kid, you know, reading the book. He fantasizes about doing something. Nowadays, they probably fantasize about putting something on YouTube. But anyways, not like they used to. But and it's just an adventure. And you got to let some stuff go. And like any other series, you got to let some stuff go to watch it. Because we want escapism. We don't want reality, even though some people think we want reality. But yeah, I find it entertaining. Like I look forward every Wednesday. So
yeah, it's a story. It's set in the Star Wars universe, but it's not leaning into Skywalker. It's not leaning into anything else. Yeah. It's familiar sounds, familiar sights, familiar aliens, but a completely different set of people.
Yeah. The one thing I was thinking, I don't know, I told Scott this on is that you think, oh, okay, how come all these space pirates are talking like Earth pirates, right? Why are they all and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I came up with this theory that actually what we're watching is a broadcast from space that we picked up and we're watching. Everything is in binary or what's not binary? Basic, which is not English. But the TV is translating everything into English for us. So that when we watch it, we're watching it and because in our minds pirates sound like "arr" like that, that's what we hear. So that's what I'm using to say, okay, that's why they sound like pirates, because it's translating into a language I would understand pirates to talk about. So
I think if I would,
for us.
I think if I was to have an opinion on it, I think I would probably just land on it's just a fucking TV show.
I know.
Who cares?
I know.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But
it's like the robot's called SM-33, which is essentially Smee, which is the pirate from not Robin Hood, Peter Pan. So it's all thanks. Cheers Disney for shoehorning something like that into this TV show. I can overlook that because I quite like the robot. But it's the whole thing. It doesn't. I just don't think it takes itself seriously.
No.
I just it's just I can't imagine it being part of Star Wars canon in any shape, way, or form.
Well, it's probably
just a story in Star Wars setting.
It's well, I would say canon simply because not something that would canon as it would dictate into the darker part of the Star Wars universe, but it's a story within the Star Wars, like you said, and within the Star Wars universe that's canon to all the stories, but not canon enough to have it linked to all this other shit. So. It's
leaning into Star Wars canon because it's talking about the Republic and all this, that, and the other, and there were X-wings in there as well.
Yeah, so it's light, it's canon light.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, so all right, now we're gonna go into a little bit of news, and then we're gonna go into our stuff here.
Right back. Give me a minute.
Oh, sure.
Pissed like a banshee this morning.
Did you take your pills?
Well, just very quick then, while Scott's gone, I watched Gladiator 2 as well. I don't know whether you've seen that yet.
No, I had no interest in that one either.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
Yeah,
the original Gladiator film deserved to have a much better sequel. Let's just say that, because if we're being honest, the original Gladiator doesn't need a sequel.
No, it doesn't.
There should never have been a Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
No, there should never have been a Gladiator 2. It's completely unnecessary. It's not a terrible film. It's a terrible sequel. It does not need to exist at all.
Yeah.
In any shape, way, or form. We don't need it. We do not need this film. Nobody needs this film.
But apparently Ridley Scott does. Apparently he needed it.
Yeah, he needed it. Yeah. Why? I don't know. But
all right.
But we've got it.
Yeah.
We've got it. Take it or leave it. We've got it. And you can leave it and not miss anything. To be quite
that's
honest.
fine. That's fine. All right, Mr. Newshound, you got anything?
News.
I'll do like was it Kevin? I'll have to get a nice little segue for you. Like, before Scott was sitting around in his base was doing nothing, he was a news hound. He worked for these different companies, and so he's going to bring you some news. Here's Tits McGee.
This was an essay that I read on n+1mag.com. It's about a 20-minute read, but there was this one interesting thing I got from it. And I didn't know it was actually happening, but I did a bit of research on it, and it is. Netflix is encouraging their screenwriters to write dialogue for multitaskers. Now, when I say that, they're wanting their scenes to be more descriptive because they know you're not watching, or you're watching casually, or you're just listening.
Okay.
And I thought that was, I guess there is actually a section that they call casual viewing content, where they know you're not really paying attention, but you have it on the background.
Yeah.
They're actually telling their,
That's true.
they're telling their writers, they're telling their writers to make it more descriptive because they don't think people are watching it, which I found just fucking fascinating.
Old time radio. You can listen to some of that on the Pulp Culture Cafe.
Exactly. It's basically every good Hollywood director's nightmare, where they're not really making it to pay attention. It's not going to be made for a cinema where you'll sit down for 2 hours. It's just while you're cooking eggs that you can actually watch this program. I thought that was interesting, that they're actually focusing on that part where they're saying, you know what? People are going to watch it. Don't make it interesting. Just make it descriptive.
Yeah. It's interesting that they're acknowledging it, because we all do it. It's like Silo. I don't watch every minute of Silo. It's on in the background because I don't need to watch it, because all the sets are the same, all the environments are the same, all the rooms are the same. Everyone wears the same costumes.
Yeah,
I only need to hear the dialogue and you know, to follow the story. Where they are doesn't matter. They're in the fucking silo, and it looks the same no matter where they are. It's the same fucking set. So I don't really watch it. I mean, unless Rebecca Ferguson's on screen, obviously.
But no,
Netflix is encouraging it.
I put a lot of stuff on. I was just to have noise, because I by myself, and it's just hearing voices, right? My cat just meows at me, so I mean, I don't know what the fuck.
I'm the exact opposite. If we're watching something, turn down the lights. I don't want to get interrupted 10 times. Yeah, I'm totally different. I when I'm watching something, I want to focus on it.
Well,
so it depends what it is, to be fair. Yeah, it depends what it is. There's some things that are just background noise, like Silo. Because to be honest, I think if I shut everything off and just focused on it, I'm not sure I made it to the end of the series. Because it is quite slow, and I might have got fed up of it. If I just had to sit and watch it, I might have got fed up of it halfway through and thought, fuck this, I'm going to watch something else instead. But because I was just listening to the plot develop while I was doing something else, then it was perfectly fine. But there are some things that I will not distract myself from. There are some things that I will sit and watch, like What We Do in the Shadows, for example. I don't want to miss what's going on the screen. I don't want to miss anything that they say, because it's so good, it's so funny, and I love all those characters. I'm not going to do anything else while that's on. So, that's what I remembered. We haven't talked about What If either. We'll save that for next time.
Oh, shit, yeah. Sometimes there's sometimes what I'll do, I'll take my phone and I'll set it in the kitchen. Because if I have it handy, if I get a little bit bored of what's going on the screen, I'll grab it. And then I get lost in it listening to the show. But no, there is certain shows that they're just casual. They're just on the background noise. I don't have to watch it. I don't have to. So
Sue does that stuff sometimes, and she'll watch it over again. And I'm thinking, why are you watching this again? Because I missed some of it the first time, because she was just casually listening to it. And I thought, that's the worst way to gain knowledge of something I've ever seen in my life. I'm just totally different than that. But when I heard about that, I'm thinking, what a terrible way to tell you're paying listeners and viewers that you're half-assing it.
Well, I know there'll be a lot of people going, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird we're at that place where they're saying, yeah, we know you're not listening, so we're going to treat you like we're not listening by giving you a product that's more descriptive. But I mean, I can see it happening more in time. I mean, obviously, the fact we're having this conversation means people are doing it and they're still paying for the subscription. So why not give the people what they want, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, I find a lot of stuff. I mean, sometimes I wonder why I even got Netflix. Because the content sometimes is like, I don't feel like looking for 20 hours to find something.
Yeah.
No.
And
Netflix is my least watched service. There's not much on there that I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now Netflix, I have to actually I still get the newsletter from them. Let me know what's coming out. But that's still not very, they don't put the video out. They used to put videos on YouTube all the time to give you an idea, get you excited. But now it's like, no, it's just saying, here's a newsletter. Maybe you'll tune in because we don't give you a good idea what it is. So, but
I don't know where it's weird. It's one of the platforms that I really have no idea who its investors are or what its main goal is. A lot of the platforms, they have parent companies, or Apple. I know where they're from. I know where they got their money from. With Netflix, I really have no idea who its prime investors are or what their main business plan or company statement is.
I don't think they've ever made money. I think they're constantly in a hole.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
You know,
but it certainly doesn't have the shine to it used to. And I know they have a lot more international shows on there. And some of them hit, and some of them are just sitting there. No one watches them. Speaking of shows that no one watches and probably will now, the WWE is coming to Netflix on January the 6th.
Yeah.
SmackDown, Raw, and NXT.
That's another background one for me. I will be. I don't need to watch it.
Yeah. I love the fact because I put it on while I'm exercising, and I love the fact that I don't have to look on fucking pirate sites for it anymore because it's such a pain in the balls.
Yeah.
So the fact that the WWE is all in one place, I'm very happy about. I can just log in, watch the show, no commercials. It's funny, during the Tyson and Jake Paul fight, it buffered a bunch of times. And Triple H was asked, what are you going to do if WWE Raw buffers? And he said, if there's 60 million people watching Raw, I'm going to sit there quietly and get used to it. Because that's how many people watched that fight between Tyson. And the WWE must have said, holy shit. Because they were doing about 3 million viewers a week on Peacock and all of the network cable services. If they do even 6 million on Netflix a week, they're going to be fucking just giddy as schoolgirls.
So I got to do
and I think they'll do it.
Sorry, correction. They have made a profit. Netflix has made a profit. I just hear the money they're spending. They're just like they're always borrowing money. They're going in debt. Is it the black or the red?
Black.
In the red if you're in debt.
Red in your debt.
Red. I always hear they're in red because they're spending all this money. You know, like Arcane, I heard they spent all this money on this animated series and it never made anything, they said. So anyways, what? Okay, let's just not correct that.
So are they showing Raw? Is it being broadcast live?
It's being broadcast live. My understanding, it'll be in different time zones. What they'll do is they'll show it live, and then it'll repeat. So if Raw's live in a certain part of the world, like for instance, if they're doing a tour in Germany, it'll be in a different time, but they'll basically show it the next day. But it'll definitely, my understanding from what I saw at the press conference, it'll definitely be live, no matter where it's at in the world. Yeah. So if it's in the UK and it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it'll be 1 o'clock in the morning here. but they'll have it to show the next day. I know the shows are there. I don't know about the catalog. My understanding is they're not going to have a lot of their back catalog on there, but they'll have the premium live events that they have once a month, which are kind of the pay-per-views.
We're getting all three major shows here. And we're all getting SmackDown, NXT, and Raw in Canada. We're getting some pay-per-views in Canada. Yeah. Now, in Britain, it's different. I think I don't know exactly which ones they're getting. And then the United States, totally different. To the United States, Raw will be on Netflix. SmackDown will still be on whatever channel it was on before.
Yeah.
And so it's different where you're at.
But it's a huge opportunity for them. I mean, they're probably gonna have more view. They're probably gonna have as many viewers as they did during the Attitude Era, and they got up to like 10 million viewers.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a feather in its cap. AEW is just floundering. That's their main, not even competition anymore. They just canceled Rampage, which is one of their 3 flagship shows. They just canceled it. And when you start canceling flagship shows, it's because there's problems.
Well, they've started booking the smaller arenas now too.
Yeah, smaller arenas, but you've got Dynamite and whatever the Saturday Night Collision on Saturday night. They just grew too fast. But I mean, they've taken all these guys, and I said after Edge went there, when Adam Copeland went there, I said if they can't budge, that's it. It's done. And that's kind of what they'll never break over 1 million. They've done as much as they can. And with WWE going to Netflix, I can't see it being around in another 10 years. If it makes it, because I think they're like 5-6 years in and they're just not growing at all. And with the WWE having that kind of global presence, I'd heard that AEW is going to be put on a WB on their streaming platform Max. My understanding that's coming, but I don't know whether it'll make any difference. I don't want to watch it. I watched a few episodes and I was thinking, if I'm wrestling, I'll just watch the WWE. There's like 8 hours a week. I don't need any more than that. So it's a saturation. It's oversaturated. There's way too much out there now.
Yeah. So,
Robert, I've heard nothing but good stuff about Nosferatu, that Robert Eger film, the horror film that was just put out about 2 weeks ago. It did very well with the critics, and the viewers seem to enjoy it. That director, again, the gentleman named Robert Eger, is going to write and direct a new Labyrinth movie, the cult classic with Bowie back in the 80s. Yeah. I think there's only going to be one big thing missing that may affect the show: Bowie. So I don't know where they're going to go with that. If they have the rights to his music, that will be a nice feather in the cap. If they can convince his estate to allude to Bowie in a positive light and have access to his music, that would be very good. But if not, it's Emperor without his clothes and a jockstrap, basically.
It's a dangerous premise, trying to remake or to reboot something like Labyrinth, because I think on paper, I think you could probably make a decent TV show, but the reality is all that nostalgia probably hangs an awful lot on David Bowie.
And
his enormous cock.
It's enormous swing, exactly. But I mean, I know there was a lot of Jim Henson puppetry in that too. So if this guy can, because this guy is being heralded as bringing back the film. If he can say, you know what, we're going to do a proper Jim Henson style Muppet movie, and
it would have to be.
Bowie's a big hole in there. They're going to have to fill that giant cock of his. So I mean.
That's kind of what I mean. On paper, I think they can make a decent show, but it would have to be the same thing. It would have to be full of Jim Henson Muppets. It would have to be high fantasy. It would have to be, the same sort of thing. You could probably get away with not having Bowie if you brought back Jennifer Connelly, because she was in the first one.
Yes.
So
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, bring her back.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be a good way to go about it. If they didn't make the mistake of, well, they'd have to kind of make her the central figure, but
yeah,
I'd be afraid that they would fall into the same pile that the latest Mad Max film did, where it was good, but they were like, you can't have a Mad Max film without Mad Max, or it won't perform at the box office.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was interesting that it's one of those things that we brought up before in the 80s, something that really hasn't been touched, really hasn't been overexposed, that maybe they could do something with. But Bowie, I mean, they'd have to get his music. If they could get his music and put it right in right spots within the film and make it like what they do with Master Puppets and Stranger Things. If they were able to do that, I think it'd be enough of an homage that people would show up just to have Bowie's music on the soundtrack.
Yeah, you'd feel his presence. You'd feel his presence in the
exactly.
projects, and I think that would probably be enough. Yeah, I agree with that.
Exactly. So,
I
was
saying, if you see me looking to the side, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just my other monitor. I've got the news feed of different stuff. I'm just whipping through that real quick. That's all.
All right. I got a few other ones here. Jim Carrey said he needed the money. I don't believe him, but maybe he does need the money. He said that's the reason why he was in the latest Sonic the Hedgehog movie. He made a few comments that I never thought he'd make, to be honest, so maybe he does need the money. He said if it was a good story, he would be a good story and using stop motion, because he did the Grinch before. He did the first one. Mm-hmm. He had that makeup.
Yeah.
And there was an infamous story. They had to hire, I think it was a Navy SEAL, to show him how to deal with the stress, because it was so...
I think it was a deep sea diver.
Yeah, deep sea diver, to teach him how to deal with the stress of having that makeup. But now technology's changed and you could use, I think stop motion is what it's called, correct?
What? For what?
The where they have the dots on the face?
That's not a CGI.
It's just CGI, whatever.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to. He said if he didn't have to do the makeup, he would be up for another Mask movie, which wouldn't be a bad one, because it's not like it's overdone.
Yeah.
And he would be up for a sequel to The Grinch. And when he said that, I could guarantee you there were dicks all over Hollywood saying, "Oh my goodness, wake up! We have a live one."
Yeah.
Because neither one of those, even though The Grinch is kind of a classic, it wasn't really overexposed because they only did one movie, and he was perfect.
Well, they
as
did
the
two
Grinch.
Masks, didn't they?
He only did Masks, but he was only in the first one.
That's
yes,
right.
he was only in the first one. Exactly. So it's not really overexposed. And Jim Carrey is, to bring him back for that, it's going to make money. It's just going to make money. Same with The Grinch, if they do it right. And he said it's got to be the right story. And he seems like the type of guy who would not just do it for shit money. He'd want to get paid, but he'd want to do the right story. And I've noticed a lot of actors saying that recently. The only way I'll do it is if the story's good. Mm-hmm. So that's something to look forward down the road. Especially with The Mask. I'd be actually looking forward more to The Mask, because there's a couple of things about that. What's her name? His co-host, Cameron Diaz, recently came out of retirement. She's done Raising the Kids. I believe she's doing a movie with Jamie Foxx. If her and Jim Carrey, if they could both get back on The Mask, that would be a fantastic sequel. If they could do it right and it had a good story. So, interesting news. That surprised me. I thought he was kind of retired and painting in some Hollywood mansion somewhere, but he said, "No, I needed the money." So.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's joking, because I think he sold one of his houses recently as well.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he had a shitty account. That's happened before.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so that's it for the news?
That's it for the nudes.
That's all for the nudes. All right, so let's go on. We're going to do a top 5. It's not, I think Paul has actually his top 5 for the end of the year overall, right? Is that what you had?
Yeah.
And then his top 5. Then we have 2 different ones. I didn't really do one for that but Paul got a different memo. So
I didn't know what I was supposed to do, so I just picked a top 5 everything. Like just
that's what
best
I did.
this, best that, best something else.
Cool. That's my fault. Yeah. I didn't send anything out. So.
Yeah.
But I only have top 5 shows I want to personally want to see rebooted.
So, we've all done that. I've also done a top 5 like Scott did of just top 5 favorite things for this year. So
we can do that
to talk about,
and then you guys can do your thing, and I'll just stand here with my dick in my hand.
Camera down, John.
Camera down. Here is my list. Okay, so I'm gonna start then. God damn it. Simply because I only have the one list. So this is just top 5 shows that I want to see, would like to see rebooted. I mean, I did this list a while ago, so I haven't really looked at it. Some other shows might come up, but I'm just going to stick with the top 5. So we did a thing for the Hobie podcast where they asked us to do a year-end review of top 5. Not top 5. It was just the year-end review, pick stuff that we want to say, yay, this is for the year. So I decided to do a top 5 of shows we wanted to do. So mine is top 5 shows we'd like to see rebooted. My first one is Barney B. Jones with Ted Danson. Oh. Because I just finished watching Ted Danson in that Netflix. He played an old guy in a retirement home trying to figure out crimes. And I really enjoyed that show. I really enjoyed Ted Danson in that show. So I thought, hey, Barney B. Jones, he's at the age he can go kick indoors and break his legs. You know, like we always thought Barney would do. The second one is just is out of curiosity more than anything else. There was a show a while called My Two Dads. It was back in the 80s.
Yep.
Well, this time we have My Two Dads or My Two Moms, but gay couple. They don't have to be living together just because they need a, but they're actually a gay couple. And I just thought that would be interesting to watch, mostly because I want to see people freak out. And I could take that premise and live with it and be, okay, I'm fine with this. You know, the 2 gay couples, I can live with that. As long as they don't preach, right? As long as they don't preach, just have good sitcom comedy, right? But also they see the United States go batshit crazy over it. So that would be my enjoyment.
I'd love to see Thruple's Company.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
That would be awesome. Like that was very tame. It's funny. They say it's very edgy. No, it wasn't. Thruple's Company. I would have paid money to see that.
It was edgy and the time. Remember, we got to talk about the time.
That's true, but they never went near as far as they could have with Chrissy Snow and all that shit.
No, they couldn't. They know. So for the time, all right. The other one I would like to see, Gilligan Island in space.
Yeah. Space. Nice.
Well, they crash land on a planet. You know, they go for their 3-hour tour and end up warping to engine goes wrong. They warp and crash on a planet. And they have to survive. So you could take that to a dark tone. You can make it a comedy, whatever you want. They could still have the same thing. The professor trying to, he built a telescope out of, rocks and sand, but he can't fix the ship, sort of thing.
I've never seen Gilligan's Island ever.
No? Oh, wow.
Episode. Oh, yeah.
Another one. This is I'll have to go check the premise again, but there was a TV show called Nowhere Man. Does that sound familiar? Let me just type that in again so I can get that proper. It's basically about a guy who wakes up so many years later, and his identity, he has no record of who he is. Everything's erased.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, it doesn't ring a bell.
He's been erased, literally.
Let me pull this up again here. Sorry. That's what. Fuck off. They gave me. Do a quick thing. Hang on, folks. I know you're just waiting with bated breath, trying to know what the fuck's going on here. A documentary photographer who seemingly has to erase his entire existence in the course of an evening. Sorry, that's what it is. I just thought that would be kind of different, The way I read it in another shit was totally different, but it only lasted 25 episodes, so it was like one season. That was it. But the actor, Bruce Greenwood.
Okay, yeah.
Bruce Greenwood. He played Pike and Star Trek and a bunch of other stuff. Canadian actor, I believe. And my last one would be Love Boat in Space.
Nice.
You can have people get to go to the boat, different aliens getting together. Boot.
I'm surprised they haven't rebooted that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I am assuming. The only thing is that every time I see these things, I just think they're going to turn it dark. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We can't have it funny anymore. We've got to turn it dark. Let's make it serious. Let's make more serious shows instead of have lighten shit up. So my shows would be all basically comedies, right? Love Boat in Space. So that's my top 25 reboots. Gentlemen?
Where are we headed next?
So you do your top 5 shows you want rebooted. And then you can do your top 5 for the year end instead.
Top 5? No, top 5 shows rebooted?
We like to see rebooted.
I must have missed an...
Okay, so what do you got? Top 5 year end?
Yeah, I just got a top 5 best of.
Okay, Paul has...
I can do my reboots.
Do your reboots then.
Okay, yeah. I got the memo.
Yeah.
Yeah, John knows he's got to give me very specific instructions.
Yeah.
I've actually got 6.
Okay.
Because I kind of realised that 2 on my list are very, very similar, but I'm going to start at the top. I talked about this a little while ago. Blake 7. That's just come out of the season 1 Blu-ray collection.
For some reason I got Black 7.
No, it's Blake. No, Blake 7. And again, just to reiterate, it's a science fiction show. It's a bunch of escaped criminals, convicts, rebels. They've been criminalized, and they're just on the run from the authorities, who are a little bit like the Empire in Star Wars. Very very oppressive. And basically, they just travel around the galaxy, just trying to evade being captured, getting into adventures and shit. And it's science fiction, and I used to fucking love it. So yeah, bring that back, please. Right. Second one is Alphas. If anyone remembers that, I think they did 2 seasons.
Yeah.
It's a little bit superhero-y. I actually preferred this to Heroes. That season 1 of Heroes is excellent, but I don't want Heroes rebooting because it went off the rails way too quickly, way too far.
Yeah.
And I don't need that one back, but I do want Alphas back because season 2 finished on a cliffhanger, and I need to know. I need to know what happens, and I want to see more of those characters. Space 1999. If any of you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Barbara
obviously,
Bain,
you'd have to rebrand it, obviously,
yeah.
Because it can't be Space 1999. But, this a ridiculous premise of the moon getting blasted out of orbit. And them just flying through space, just coming across alien races and then having adventures and shit. It's what they're hoping that they're going to arrive back at Earth, but what they don't realise is that once the moon's left Earth's orbit, then there's not going to be a fat lot of Earth left. It's going to be absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to like it. I used to like Space 1999. I thought it was cool. I used to love the Eagle spaceships. I used to have a couple of them when I was younger. Cool as fuck. I want to see it come back.
Yeah.
4th on the list is Police Squad, the Leslie Nielsen show. And I'm not talking about the Naked Gun. I never really liked the Naked Gun, even though it was pretty much it's exactly the same premise as Police Squad. Police Squad only lasted about 25 minutes, thereabouts, and it was just gag after gag after gag after gag after gag, it was so fucking funny. It was excellent. Once you tripled the length of that, once you made it sort of like an hour and a half long, you had to tell more story. You had to include more plot. You had to include more characters, and it wasn't funny anymore. Every now and again, they'd throw in a gag.
Yeah,
but the gag to minute ratio it wasn't the same as in Police Squad. I don't want the Naked Gun. You can fuck off with your feature length films. I don't care. They're not funny. I want Police Squad back. I want you to reboot Police Squad, please. Now, 5th on my list is Battlestar Galactica. Now, this is I kind of realised afterwards that this
I
is kind
put
of similar to Space
brackets.
1999.
I put in brackets here because what you put. Why the fuck
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, but because that's what I wrote. Yeah, fuck it, why not? It's all happened before, and it will all happen again.
Yeah.
So let's just cut to the chase. Just give me more Battlestar Galactica. I fucking love Battlestar Galactica. I loved it in the 80s. I love the more recent 2000s one.
Mm-hmm.
It's excellent. It's kind of similar to Space 1999. It's just like a science fiction show about people like hoping that they find home and coming across aliens and having adventures and shit. But I just fucking love Battlestar Galactica, so I want more of it. But because that's so similar to Space 1999, I actually thought of an extra one. And I thought, you know what? Can we reboot Krypton, please? Can we have another season of Krypton, and can we just continue that story and start introducing more characters from the periphery of that story, please?
Have you watched Superman yet? Superman Lois?
I finished watching season 3 fairly recently. I don't have season 4 available.
How did you like that fucking ending? Hoo-wee.
It finishes on a cliffhanger as well. It's like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I need to start watching season 4. And I fucking
beautiful.
Because
like the CGI was just.
There was a couple of. I mean, I remember you saying a while ago that you get to a point where you think this should be on a big screen. And to be honest, there was a couple of moments where I thought, this must be what he's talking about, because this deserves to be a fucking movie.
Yeah.
And that was before we got to the season finale. But when they introduced Lex Luthor, I thought, this is Michael Cutlass, I think he's called, isn't he?
Yeah.
He was in The Walking Dead. He's been doing a lot of directing, I think, in the meantime.
Yeah.
As soon as he came on and started being Lex Luthor, and they put him in prison, and he ends up just taking over the prison straight away, I thought, he's already a much better Lex Luthor than Jesse Eisenberg.
Yes.
He's knocking on the door of being a better Lex Luthor than Kevin Spacey.
No, not going too far off track. In 1 minute, I made a list of 5 shows I would like rebooted. Just want to hear them?
Okay.
In 1 minute.
Okay. Hang on. Are you done?
Oh, yeah, that was my last one. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, carry on.
V. I love the original series. I thought the two seasons they did of the other one didn't do it justice. It could have been fleshed out a lot more. They could go the route with The Walking Dead, where they're able to flesh out that world a lot more. V would absolutely be something that would resonate with older fans, and I think with newer fans.
I used to love V.
Yeah.
Side note on that, Big Finish is going to start doing audio V stories.
Good. That's awesome. Number 2, The Prisoner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, with Patrick McNee.
Yeah.
McGowan.
But I mean,
Patrick McGowan.
It hasn't really been touched in years, and I think with the CGI, you could make it much more creative, and you could flesh it out a lot more than the original. The concept was nice, but I mean, you can only do so much of those spheres on the water, but you could do a lot with it. Number 3, Jericho.
I've
2
heard
seasons.
about this, but I've never watched it. I believe it's very good.
You need to watch it. It's very, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
And it got canceled after 2 seasons. And part of the reason, I remember when it was on, part of the reason was people were very uncomfortable with it, because at that point in time, it was very realistic, because it wasn't about sci-fi. It was like something that people were actually afraid of. This was in I think in the early 90s it came out. Right. I may be wrong on that. It's been 20 years or more, but people were. I remember Sue couldn't watch it. Oh yeah, I knew Sue. It must have been 20 years ago. She said she couldn't watch it because those nuclear drills. It was very uncomfortable, and it was, to me, it was the first post-apocalyptic show.
2006.
Really scared the shit out of people. Yeah, 2006. So, but the cast was fantastic. It's a great series, and if they rebooted it and did it the right way, they could really do something with it. Number 4, Perfect Strangers. Balki Bartokomous. I love that show. There really hasn't been anything like it on since then. It was kind of an Odd Couple feel to it. It was just a great character, and they haven't really done much with him in the last 25 years since it went off the air. And number 5, and this is a Canadian favorite, and when I say this, John will be like, yeah, I'd like to see that. The Littlest Hobo. I used to love that show. It was so wholesome and so Canadian. And if they got like a Belgian Noir, a dog that really knew what it was doing and could really perform some cool tricks, they could make a neat little show of it if they did it the right way. And I think it's something that beloved. I think literally parents would watch with their children. There's a built-in audience for it, and I'm not sure why they haven't at least tried to do it. I know that obviously there's some issues with pets and on-screen sets, but I mean, when you've got trained dogs, you can fucking get them to deal cards. I mean, there are really smart dog breeds out there. I would love to see that rebooted in some fashion.
We used to get quite a few Canadian shows when I was younger, during the school holidays, because they used to show the Red Hand Gang quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
But Littlest Hobo was one. I can hum the theme tune in my head right now. I can't remember how the words go, but I used to prefer Littlest Hobo to Lassie. Lassie can go fuck himself.
Yeah.
Or herself.
I have written down the theme words to The Littlest Hobo when talking to people, and they think it's the most profound thing I've ever written. Because they don't every step I take, I make a new friend. Just turn around and I'll be back again. And I write it down.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, one person will say, "Wait a fucking minute!" But after the first couple of people, they're like, "What a brilliant lyrist that man is." So,
oh shit!
Yeah, that's a good call. Littlest
that's
Hobo.
my top 5 in like a minute.
Nice.
Okay.
Thanks for playing.
You know what? People might break this show into 2 shows anyhow. It's so fucking long. Like I'm not saying I'll do it. I'll just say the people might just say, okay, that's enough of this. So fucking. It doesn't matter if as long as they download it. As long as they download it, we're good. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they don't need to listen.
So, okay, you guys are going to do your top 5 for the year. Best of or whatever. I'm going to sit back and maybe just pop something here and there, but most of you guys take it over from now until the end of the show. All right?
Sure. Who do you want to go first? Anyone?
So it'll be you two. You guys fight it out.
Okay.
I just went, so you can go, Paul.
Okay, let me just bring it up. In fact, it's not on there. It's not on that screen. It's on this screen. I'll be right with you.
Yep.
Sorry about this.
Okay. I guess I should have said I'll go first. Holy shit. Paul. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, dropping the ball. I've got it. I've got it in front of me right now.
I've got an audience,
in front of me right now. Oh, that's that reminds me. Comic books. I nearly sent you guys a message about a week ago, because I've picked up a few comic books. I'm getting sort of back into it because of some of the recommendations and just browsing, because I've been meaning to read Wonder Woman for a little while. I started reading Jenny Sparks because John mentioned that. Yeah. I started reading Get Fury, the 6-issue Punisher and Fury crossover that's set in Vietnam. And I picked up the Black Canary one as well, but I've not read that one yet. So that leads me into one of my top 5 comics. So I haven't been reading a huge amount of comics this year, as you know, but just this last couple of months or so, I've been sort of like dipping my toe back in there, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh fuck it, I'm going to buy that, and that. And I was going to send you guys like a little a GIF or meme of John Wick saying, "Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back." So Wonder Woman's in my top 5 because what I've read of it so far, I'm really enjoying. This is the Outlaws storyline by Tom King, where Amazonians get kicked out of the USA and basically they're made illegal, and they're rounding them up. The ones that refuse to leave or fail to leave are getting round up. They've killed, I don't know how many of them. They've incarcerated the ones that they haven't killed. And it's turning into a bit of a shit show because an Amazonian ended up killing a bunch of bikers in a bar, got into a fight, killed them all, and then just went on the run. And because they were all guys, this Amazonian killed all men. They think that they're engineering like a hidden agenda type thing. It's like, oh, Amazonians have got a war on men, and we can't have that.
But isn't that a normal day in the United States?
Yeah, well, this is it. Obviously, there's some deep-rooted messaging there that is almost imperceptible. But basically, it's all the most powerful people in America, all men, and they can't have Amazonians sort of like threatening men. So they've made them illegal and kicked them all out. And it really kicks off when this strike team goes after Wonder Woman, and she just kicks the shit out of them and makes it look easy. And I thought, oh fuck me, this is so good. This is, Wonder Woman just kicking the shit out of all these fucking, special forces commando type people. I thought, yeah, I'm coming back for more of this. I want to see more of this, because if they're going after Diana, and she's not having it, she is not having that at all. I thought, yeah, I want to see more of her kicking the shit out of people who think that they can take her down. So I'm all for that. So out of the books that I've read this year, admittedly not many, and most of them being within the last month, that's my favourite out of the ones that I've read. So that's on my list. Right. Another one of my top 5, as you know, I'm a big video game player. So I picked one of my favourite games that I've played so far this year, Helldivers 2, which is a PlayStation game. I think you can get it on PC as well. It's basically Starship Troopers, the video game, because it's got that sort of fascist bullshit nonsense voiceover all the way through. That sort of like newsflash, sort of with heroically defending this planet against these people, when actually we're invading their planet and trying to wipe them all out so we can take the planet for themselves. And it's that sort of game. And so you go down to a planet, and basically you've got missions, and you're just fighting whatever's on that planet. And it's either bugs, which is essentially exactly like Starship Troopers, or robots, which is essentially just a bunch of T-1000s. And they've just introduced, there's just been a new update, and they've introduced a new enemy type, which I think is sort of a little bit like zombies, but I've not been back and played it since the update. But it's a lot of fun. It's online multiplayer co-op, which means you can play it with your friends. But the funny thing is that it's friendly fire is always on. So you can accidentally kill each other, blow each other up, set each other on fire, all sorts. It's really good fun, really good fun. Honourable mention to Path of Exile 2, which came out very recently, very much like Diablo 4. In fact, it's more like Diablo 2, but it's early access, which means the full game isn't actually out yet. It comes out next year, but Path of Exile 2 is available to play now. That's good fun as well if you like dungeon crawling and picking up lots of loot. Another one, very quickly, another one of my top 5 video game handhelds making a comeback in a big way. You're getting all sorts of handheld PCs like Steam Deck. I've got a Lenovo Legion Go. You got a ROG Ally. I've got I can't remember what it's called. AC something or other. Anyway, like Nintendo Switch, Xbox are going to do a handheld. Oh, Logitech G Cloud, that's what I've got. That's a streaming thing. That's pretty good. PlayStation are also going to do a handheld. They do the PlayStation Portal, which is a streaming device. You link it to your PlayStation, it streams over the internet. But they're also going to do a handheld device, and I'm here for it. I'm really enjoying it. Something that I can play like proper full AAA a gaming experience. I can just sit in the armchair in front of the TV listening to Silo and playing a proper game, and then when I'm done I can just switch over to the big TV with a proper controller, continue playing the same game on the big screen, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. Right. Yeah. So 2 more left to go very quickly. Favorite TV show, honorable mentions to Slow Horses, The Penguin, and True Detective Season 4, all of which came out this year. But my favourite TV show this year is Fallout by a large margin. It is fucking excellent. I really enjoyed Fallout, and I can't wait for Season 2. Favourite movie this year, honourable mention to The Fall Guy, which I really enjoyed. It's good fun. I like Ryan Gosling, that sort of don't give a shit sort of hero, a little bit of a cheeky sense of humour. It's got some great set pieces, some great stunts. It's got Emily Blunt in it, who's dead as fuck. I really enjoyed it. Alien Romulus was a lot like the older Alien movies. I really enjoyed that. But the favourite movie this year has to be Deadpool and Wolverine. It's not perfect. It's not exactly what we wanted or expected.
Yeah.
But it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's
fun.
I just love it. I just had a blast. I just enjoyed watching it so much. I mean, the fan service is fucking excellent. It really makes me laugh in certain areas. The action's good.
Yep.
You know, it's favorite film of the year. And that's me. That's my 5.
Yeah. Oh, I'd have to put Wolverine as one of my favorite movies. Yeah, the one that sticks out all the time. So
yeah, it's up there.
Yeah. It's just good fun. It's what movies are about.
Best comic, Ultimate Spider-Man. What Jonathan Hickman's been able to do with that Ultimate Universe relaunch has just been fantastic. He's doing it right this time. It's what he should have done with the X-Men, where he's focusing on character development and not just creating a bunch of characters and storylines and just kind of leaving them to rot on the vine. And I think he probably had a conversation either with himself or someone at Marvel where they said, look, let's try this and not this. But it's the comic I look forward to the most every month. He's fleshing out characters. It's a fresh look at Peter Parker. I love the fact that Uncle Ben is in this because he's written really well. And honestly, I can relate to him. He's a grandfather and a life experience. He's not shat on or sidelined. His kids are fleshed out. Mary Jane's hot in it, and she's smart and successful. It's very well done. I like where they're going with it. I read the original years ago, but I don't know. I look forward to this the most every month. This and the Ultimates, actually, which is basically the Avengers. He's just doing a really great job with it, and they're 12 issues in, and I'd be surprised if I hope he sticks with it. I hope he sticks with it for at least 3 years and hands it off to some good writers and artists to do it, because I read all of them except I don't read the Black Panther and the X-Men, because the Ultimate X-Men, I'm not a fan of the artist on that and the writer, and I can't remember her name now. It's Peachy something or another. You know what I'm speaking about, Paul? We kind of had the same agreement. Ultimate X-Men.
Ultimate X-Men.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't like the art.
I've not read it.
Yeah, not a fan of the art.
No.
So that's the best comic of the year. Best movie. One Life with Anthony Hopkins. It was the true life story. And you guys probably saw the footage where this guy's sitting in the audience.
Yeah.
That's
what I thought you were going to mention.
Yeah. And it was the Czechoslovakian children that they were trying to get out of the country before the Nazis closed the border. And the movie was fantastic. And my understanding of what I've read is it's very accurate also, where he always regretted not being able to do more, but he got so many out of there. And it was like literally the door closing. And Anthony Hopkins even looked like the gentleman. And it was just, when you're watching it, I remember my wife and I were both close to tears as you're watching this, knowing that this happened and this guy still had regret. And when that whole audience stood up, it was just like a vindication almost. And it's amazing how people didn't realize it at the time. I don't think they could fathom what the Nazis had planned. So there wasn't that sense of urgency right up until like the last month, where they're like, oh my God, they're shutting down the borders and they're starting to do this. Best creator, Tyler Sheridan. I've been watching all of his shows this year: Lioness, Oil Man, Mayor of Kingstown, Tulsa King, all of the Yellowstone stuff. And he's just creating a universe, and a really fucking well-written one, too. And I'm seeing a lot of character actors that I haven't seen in years because they're just signing up to do it. Billy Bob Thornton, and that's the latest one with Landman. It's just fantastic. I think I said Oil Man, Landman. It's just fantastic. I think he was just nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actor. And I just, his writing, and it's unique because Hollywood really hasn't touched these industries because they're out of fashion when it comes to oil or military stuff, or even Stallone and the Tulsa King. Definitely not cowboy stuff. Definitely not cowboy shit. Lioness was the biggest surprise of this year. But yeah, Tyler Sheridan, one of the, like, his creations, and the fact he's been able to make all these great shows. I don't know where the fucking guy sleeps, to be honest, because they're all so well written. I'm not sure. Have you guys watched any of them?
No, I haven't actually. No, we had a brief conversation about him. I think last time we recorded together.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely going to start watching Lioness.
Yeah.
But we just haven't yet.
Well, I finished season 2, and after watching season 2 of Lioness, that is the best TV show I've watched this year.
Wow.
Nicole Kidman, Morgan Freeman, Michael Kelly, Zoe Saldana. When you remember you watched those scenes in Avengers with Thanos when she gets tossed off the cliff, or when she's with in that scene with Star-Lord and Thanos is there, and you really saw a glimpse of her, how good of a dramatic actor she was. Well, her work in Lioness just fleshes it out, and I never realized how good of an actor she was until I'm watching this. And it's 2 seasons in, and a couple of those episodes I easily would have watched them on the big screen. The talent they have in that, and Nicole, you forget how good Nicole Kidman and Morgan Freeman are until you see them in this show, and it's just fantastic. It's like I haven't seen that kind of work in their movies in a very long time. But Morgan Freeman hasn't been around. He kind of excommunicated from Hollywood there about 5 years ago, and he's got in the second season he's got a monologue, and you're just thinking, God, I miss that. I miss that speech. He's just I miss that voice, and I miss that. But the writing was fantastic, and by the time we watched the end of the second season, I was like, I didn't expect it to happen, but that was my favorite. That was my favorite TV show this year. Best Entertainer of the Year, and this is the last one. Best Entertainer of the Year is Ryan Reynolds. Deadpool, his charity work, his booze, his football. I mean, the fucking guy is everywhere. Mm-hmm. And honestly, when Deadpool came out in July, from then until now, the box office success has been going on. I think they owe a large part of that to Deadpool, because for about 2 months after that movie first came out, there was this euphoria of going to the movie theater to watch movies. And I think it carried on into Wicked and Gladiator 2 and a bunch of other movies that came out. And I think it carried the box office for the last 6 months of the year. I really do, because it was a really positive reaction to Deadpool and Wolverine. And it became kind of like Top Gun was a couple of years ago, where people were like just going to the movies, and if they didn't go to that, we're like, let's try this out. And I really think that's happened in the last 6 months of the year. So he's just everywhere this year, and he's got his fingers in a ton of different pies, and they're all firing on all cylinders. So he's for me, he's the Entertainer of the Year.
Okay,
and that is that.
I was just like, you're talking comic books. The books that I've been wanting to read every time they come out is the different series of Star Trek books coming from IDW.
Yeah.
Those ones, I mean, there's not every book, I have to admit, I don't read, but the Defiant, just the Star Trek novel, the ones, they've had certain ones like, what's it called? Sons of Star Trek, where they've taken the sons of the characters, and they meet a young son of Q. And he transported into a different universe and stuff. The Defiant series, the Star Trek series, they've taken different characters in different episodes and series and put them together to make a new crew.
Yeah.
I really enjoy those. This is some of the best Star Trek I've been seeing for a while, except for Strange New Worlds on TV. I really, really enjoy that. I mean, the second one's coming up is this stuff coming from Ghost Machine, which has Geiger and Redcoat and a few other books. I've really enjoyed those. Hyde is another book that's it's a horror book in a way, but those I really enjoyed those. So I don't like movie. I said Deadpool, Wolverine, top TV series. I liked Fallout. It's a really great series, but if I actually just what series I really like this year, and I can't find one that just pops out. Honestly, nothing that just says this is the one you got to watch. I haven't found one. Just quickly to Silo, I think one of the reasons I could, because you say it's so slow, because I watch a lot of movies from the early Hollywood, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, where it was dialogue driven more than anything else. So when I watch Silo, I don't feel like I'm being dragged because I'm used to that conversation. So, but yeah, I don't have a big list of stuff that really stuck out to me. Didn't really give it a thought. So, video game, the one I'm playing all the time is 76 now. I play that. That's nice. Like watching TV for me. I watch some regular, and then I play 76. I figure I'm doing nothing anyhow while I'm watching TV. Why not play 76? At least I'm doing something with it, right?
Nice.
So, but that hell, the thing is, I get stuck on a game. They'll leave me to Hell Divers, is it?
Hell Divers 2.
Sounds really, really interesting. I just know I'm going to get stuck on that for a while. And right now I'm only stuck on 2 games, and so
it'll be there when you're ready for it.
I know that's just it, right? It's not going to go anywhere.
76 for me. Yeah, I think Fallout 76 is my favorite Fallout at the moment.
Yeah,
I tried to get back into Fallout 4, but I keep going back to 76.
Yeah, the only thing I hate is that you get certain things. You've got to sign up for their subscription, right? So you're already paying a yearly subscription to PlayStation, and then they want more shit. So I don't know how far I'll get in that, because I just don't know if I want to pay that extra money to get the extra stuff. So I don't know. I got to figure out I got to go clean my storage container, my stash box, because I filled it up. I got to start getting rid of shit. So
yeah. Managing your inventory is the biggest problem on that game.
Then I thought, I got a file cabinet. I'll create a file cabinet. It gives me a new one. No, it doesn't. It just sends everything into the file cabinet. Fucking pricks. Anyways, so anything else before we go, gentlemen?
I had one thing I forgot to mention. It's something you triggered my mind in it. When I put up Best Creator Tyler Sheridan, his shows all deal with different areas. Oil Man's about the oil industry. Lioness is about the special ops. Mayor of Kingstown's about the prison industry. And he has said that these all, except for the Yellowstone, obviously the historical ones, are part of the same world. And all I was thinking was, wow, you mean I could have Billy Bob Thornton and Morgan Freeman doing a show together, or Billy Bob Thornton and Mayor of Kingstown, Jeremy Renner working together? I was very excited about that aspect, because there's some good storylines. For instance, Landman, they deal with the cartels, and so did Lioness. And I'm thinking, I would love to see Nicole Kidman, for instance, because Demi Moore is on. There's a lot of really interesting, when he said that, there's a lot of really interesting acting crossovers I would love to see work together. So that there also helped to make Entertainment of the Year. So I think that's a great opportunity for a kind of a shared universe. It wouldn't overlap too much, but you could have actors go on other shows and it makes sense.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's it. We have been on for quite a while.
Yes, 3.5 hours. It went like nothing, gentlemen. Let's do 5. 5. What's that? Your wife's at the door?
Yeah. Actually, I think it split it up because it's so long. 3 hours and 27 minutes.
Yeah, the one show we said we were going to make one show was the longest show we've had in a while. So.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if people who listen break it up.
Yeah.
I can highly recommend it.
Oh yeah. So, all right, gentlemen, year end. I don't know what else to say. I hope you had a good year overall.
Wasn't bad. This was a nice year.
So, folks, if you've been with us for the whole year, thank you very much. Drop us a line at thepulpculturecafe.com, gmail.com. Yeah. Man, if you want to, go ahead. Cool. That'd be nice. At least we know someone's listening. Yep. Okay, gentlemen. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, what they said twice.
Ladies and gentlemen, my mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you.
That's all, folks.
Thank you. Come again.
Why, you little?